All right, our Tarantino ranking for Real Ranked is going live. Hello and welcome back to another Real Ranked. We are got an exciting panel for Tarantino movies today. But before we get started, I just have to make sure that I from our episode for MCU, there are actually 2 orange cats, and I forgot to count one of them. So Orange Cat Hunter should have been 2, but let's just get into bringing everyone in, starting with Rachel.
Hello, I'm super excited for tonight. I actually have firm opinions on all of these movies. So super excited to share those. Maybe a few hot takes. I don't know.
All right, great. Let's bring in the next person, Aiden.
Bonjourno. It's good to be here.
Ratsy.
Got Steven.
Well, when you hear my opinions, you may think my ass may be dumb, but I ain't no dumb ass.
It's debatable.
Words to live by.
And
Words to
finally,
live by.
we got Matt.
Hey, I'm just here, so hopefully I have some opinions.
Yeah, unfortunately, Pranav could make it, but also Trev was hoping to be here. We have this to honor him.
Rip in peace, Trev, forever in our hearts.
But yeah,
He did tell me to defend Inglourious Bastards tooth and nail while I was on, so I will do that.
Okay.
got some comments in the live chat.
One of the panelists comments to boost your own views.
I got my hair to join too. I tempted her with Tarantino opinions, so should be fun.
There you go.
Yeah, so today it's gonna work a little differently. It's not gonna be a tier list because there's only 11 movies that we're talking about total. So, but let's just start with the directorial debut and like just go around with everyone and hear your thoughts on Reservoir Dogs.
Cool. Who wants to start then?
Yeah, was expecting a tier list. This is a surprise. I have to actually speak now.
Oh, great.
Okay. No, I'll go.
Okay.
Let's
I
start with
guess.
Steve. Yeah.
Yeah. So, admittedly, it's been. I watched this. I believe the summer before freshman year of college was the last time I watched this.
Jesus.
This is my second watch. So, I'm pretty familiar. I've seen it twice. So, but I really enjoy this one. It went up on when I watched it again. I guess I won't say where it is right now in my ranking. We'll wait until the end, I guess. Keep it interesting. But I really love this one. I like how tight it is. I love Tarantino's style, but the tightness of it is pretty exciting. All the characters are pretty fascinating. Like, he gives you just enough, and the way the story is, wound about, it's very tight, and then it kind of comes to the explosive finale, and it's fun, and I think you can say that about all of his movies. To the degree you agree with that is but you have to admit at least all of them have some element of fun, and I think this one meets the criteria. It's a fun movie, great cast, kind of set the standard for what Tarantino would become.
Yeah.
Definitely. It is a very tight movie. I agree.
It's like the
I
only
also,
Tarantino movie that's under 2 hours, isn't it?
Yeah,
Uh,
well,
like,
Kill Bill,
it
super
Kill Bill
short.
is.
Volume 1 is also under 2 hours.
yeah,
Is
But
it
this one
really?
is well, Death Proof is like just at 2 hours ish, or it's like not super long compared to the
yeah,
rest
it's
of them
there.
as
It's
well.
just,
Yeah.
Yeah, Reservoir Dogs is his shortest one, but yeah, there's that and Kill Bill Volume 1 are under 2.
Well,
Okay.
and I guess
I think
I'll
Death
say
Proof is
something
also under
else.
2.
Yeah, Death Proof is like just at 2, maybe a little more or less.
Yeah.
But I'll say Reservoir Dogs based on the movie with Chow Yun Fat. What is it? It's oh, I forget what it's called, but it's a movie with
Oh,
Chow Yun
it's
Fat in it.
shoot.
It's like I want to say Streets of Fire, but that's not right. It's like something of fire. Fire is in the title. Streets of Fire is the Walter Hill movie. But anyway, that's beyond the point. So that might be why it's a bit tighter, because it is sort of inspired by an already short movie. But, yeah.
yeah. No, I'm pretty sure like it probably has like in some inspiration from Kubrick's The Killing, because when I watched The Killing, I'm like, oh, I feel like
Yeah.
vibes to it, because it's just a very compact like story.
Yeah.
It's like both crime films and but yeah, Reservoir Dogs. I just gonna
Hey, Albert.
So
Reservoir Dogs does not have any feet. I don't believe so.
Yeah,
No.
it also
It's-
doesn't have any named female characters, so
Yeah.
that might have something to do with it.
Yes, but yeah, I think Reservoir Dogs. I really like the non-linear use of storytelling
Yeah.
too. Like it's like that. It's his first movie, and it uses that, and I think it's really effective to like tell the story, and like it doesn't show
add
the
suspense.
at all too, right? It
Mhm.
doesn't show the heist, which is like really interesting. I think.
Mhm.
I do agree that it's the tightest Tarantino film. It's very compact. And I like that because a lot of Tarantino's films do suffer from long ass runtime disease. So it's very refreshing for me to watch that short of movie, especially after Hateful Eight, which we will talk about later. Yeah, ensemble cast is great in it though. Tim Roth just knocks it out of the park. Same with Harvey Keitel. Really everyone. I don't think there's like a weak actor in it.
Michael Madsen is really.
I mean, he got it.
Michael Madsen, yeah.
He's got a
Steve
great
Buscemi.
cast.
On such a
despite it being
shoestring
his first
budget
movie.
too.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's like what,
Yeah.
$90,000
He
for
almost
budget?
I mean, he was gonna make it even smaller, but his producer, or he was like, I think it's good enough. We can get better names. So he gave him like 3 months. He's like, all right, if you can get some. And then like Harvey Keitel was like, yeah, this rules. I'm gonna put more money into this. So, City on Fire. That's what it's called. The
Oh,
movie.
yeah.
It's inspired. Ringo Lam directed and wrote the story. So yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Hated.
I-
Yeah.
I think it's good for a directorial debut. I think it's definitely one of the weaker Tarantino films overall. But I mean, I think you can definitely start to see kind of some of the trappings that he uses for most of his films. The non-linear storytelling, the use of soundtracks, very well integrated into the film. Just kind of good dialogue, kind of quirky characters. I think there's a lot of the makings of what becomes staples of his later movies, even though they don't quite work as well in here as some of his other ones. Like the opening scene where they're talking about tipping, one of my all-time favorite Tarantino scenes.
Yeah.
But I think I'm in the minority opinion where I think this movie drags a little bit, especially around the
Really?
middle. Yeah. I think it's interesting. I don't think there's any scenes that I could be like, that should be cut or that should be sped up. But for whatever reason, it starts to drag a little in the middle. And yeah, it's definitely also the first movie where Tarantino shows just how far he likes to push the envelope, especially the torture scene with Mads Mikkelsen. Like I'm kind of surprised he got another movie after he made that scene.
Michael Madsen.
Michael Madsen, not Mads Mikkelsen.
Oh,
that's,
did I say Mads? I'm sorry. Yeah,
That would have been
You're
fantastic, though.
I love
Too
Mads.
much Hannibal.
but,
I'm
It would
sorry.
have been a good actor to have.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
no, Michael Madsen. Yeah, especially that scene in the middle. I'm kind of surprised because from what I understand, it was very controversial at the time and still kind of is now, just because it was really, really gruesome for a movie where not a lot of things were doing that level at that time yet.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think overall it's a good first movie. If we were doing the ranking thing, I'd give it a C. But
Whoa,
yeah.
okay.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think the stuck in the middle with you scene is definitely like a top tier Tarantino scene.
Yeah.
Like especially with the use of that song, like it's just so iconic.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Yeah.
Let's see. What Matt? Do you have anything to say for Reservoir Dogs?
Yeah, I mean, I like the movie. I think it's well paced, and I like it a little more than Pulp Fiction. I think it's just more interesting, to be honest. In terms of like what I like about Tarantino and like the style, I definitely think he got a lot better in his later movies, or just in terms of incorporating like kind of the really obvious Tarantino elements, like the really suspenseful scenes and like the use of music. Definitely Stuck in the Middle with You is like that's the most iconic part of the movie, and that's definitely up there in terms of like overall all Tarantino scenes. But beyond that, there's nothing super memorable about it other than just some of the characters and stuff. So I definitely like it a little more than Pulp Fiction, but not quite. It doesn't quite do as much for me as some of his later work.
Yeah, I also have Reservoir Dogs ranked higher than Pulp Fiction on my list, so I can agree with you on most of those points. Just
yeah, a lot of people. I haven't met many people that have that though. It's interesting.
We're just built different, simply.
I do know I know someone who has Reservoir Dogs as their favorite Tarantino. So.
Based, actually.
And
I mean,
Reservoir Dogs. I'll say Reservoir Dogs. Very high up there for me as well. So if you're gonna put anything above Pulp Fiction, I can respect that.
For sure. Yeah, I agree. I think Reservoir Dogs is definitely one of his best.
Yeah. I mean, it's still fourth on my list, but it's above Pulp Fiction, so.
Oh, yeah, that just sounds so wrong.
But so right.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
No. All right, yeah.
Out of the 10 films he's made, I think it's the third from the bottom for me.
Really?
Just because so much of his other movies are so good. And like I like Reservoir Dogs, but I don't think it holds a candle to most of his later work.
I guess
I agree, but I also include Pulp Fiction in that too.
Oh gosh, you guys,
we're gonna disagree on that one.
Okay, that one's you can't say Pulp Fiction is like below. You can say you like the other ones more, but you can't say it's so much worse. Oh, that sounds so wrong. I mean, yeah, I don't want to talk about Pulp Fiction too much yet. Matthew, were you gonna say anything about Reservoir Dogs, or
I
had anything?
No, I think it's definitely one of his best in my opinion. I think the characterizations are really well done. I like how like they flash to like back to like Mr. Orange and like Mr. Blonde and like all those characters. Like we get to see like later in the movie after we see them commit the heist, and Steve Buscemi is that's probably his best role.
Shoot, yeah, we didn't even talk about Steve Buscemi.
I mentioned Steve Buscemi when no one else did. Okay. I got you, Steve.
I like Steve Buscemi.
Yeah, Steve rules. As I think the whole cast is pretty great.
Oh yeah.
Admittedly, it's good that Tarantino's not in it too much because like everyone in that movie is so good, and then it's just like you have this guy who's like, it's not a bad actor, but his cameos are not always the best because he's just not as good as his cast that he gets. So,
I mean, that's like every Tarantino cameo, though. So you can't mark him out that much for it.
It's kind of charming, though. The way he inserts himself into his movies. It's
Charming
in
is
this
a
one.
word that you could use to describe it.
I think in this one, it's
There are other words you could use to describe it.
It's fun. I guess fun is a better word. That's
Yeah.
the word for all of Tarantino's movies. Fun.
Mhm.
Or for the majority, I guess, if you don't like some.
Yeah, and I really like Mr. White and like Mr. Orange in their like relation. in
Yeah,
that
like
movie.
their interactions are really neat. I like those.
Yeah.
And then the gore is also, I mean, it's one of his goriest movies, honestly.
Yeah, even though
least-
there's only a few scenes, it's
When
He's done a lot.
when it's gory, it's very gory.
Mhm.
And it's not, it's kind of still a bit grounded because the budget's a bit lower. So, like, you know, in his other gory films, which, I mean, all of his movies have blood, but, you know, the ones where he's intentionally making them gory over the top, like, this one feels the most grounded out of all his bloody ones. So,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Cool.
I
So
really like this movie.
I guess
It's
before I
very
bring
watchable.
the list, pull this up.
we could rank it by feet. I have a feet count for every single movie.
I mean, how many big toes do you wiggle when you're watching a Tarantino movie is how good it is.
How many feet comments do we have? We're 15 minutes in. Holy
But
shit.
yeah, I'm gonna bring in the list, and let's just start with Reservoir Dogs, and we can
Oh
rearrange.
no.
We get to see Matthew misspell almost every word in real time. This is great.
That's the real content you're looking for.
It's the real. This
Yes.
is what you get at Real Trivia
The
Face
real
Off.
ranked.
Speaking of Pulp Fiction, I think that's up next.
Yes,
Yeah, it
so the
is.
next movie is Pulp Fiction. I think let's start with Matt Carnahan.
Let's go.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I enjoy this movie, but I definitely put it under. Yeah. Well, actually, under a lot of his other movies. But I just like I can understand why people appreciate it. It's just I don't think it has as many like memorable scenes, and the kind of the storyline is just not as interesting to me compared to many of his other movies. So yeah, I mean, the cast is great. I can't think of anything specific that I don't like about it, other than just it's not quite as interesting to me. I don't really like the way it jumps around in time as much as I do with Reservoir Dogs. I think it works better in Reservoir Dogs than this movie, but yeah, I think that's about it.
Cool. Any counterpoints to that, Stephen?
Yeah, okay.
So
Not
many.
only is this by far Tarantino's best film, it's also one of the greatest films ever made, period. One of my favorites. So I feel like I shouldn't have to explain why this movie is great because it's been talked about to death. But, you know, if you want to hear more, you know, I can give more. But I don't think I need to. Because it's like
All out there.
every scene is so the gimp scene is like just, oh Jesus Christ, they just missed that. Anyway, sorry, that was the football game.
Nice.
Uh,
I'm glad we have your
Yeah.
full attention here.
the gimp scene is just that is how you do tension, humor, badassery, and like everything that needs, like, it's just perfect. It's perfection. It's awesome. Rules. As does the rest of the movie. The way the storylines interweave. It's not random. It's all very like strategically placed in order, and it makes for a very fascinating arc. Jules, his character arc is arguably one of the greatest character arcs ever, in my opinion. It's a fantastic morality tale. It's awesome, entertaining. It's great. Every character has their own story, And just because you are a character doesn't mean you have character. Heh heh heh. The tagline of the movie.
Harvey
But
Keitel.
yeah. I mean, even like
The wolf.
Tarantino's character is lying about, his aunt got the sheets for him, and we really love it. And then the wolf is like, no, you can't. You gotta deal. Like, I'm sure they are lovely, but you gotta do like stuff like that. You don't get that in other movies, let alone most Tarantino films. Even like it's just amazing. Yeah, I think that's enough love for now.
I guess we can bring it to Rachel.
Great. I have opinions on this. I will say Pulp Fiction has a great cast, and I can understand why it's so beloved. Literally every person that's in it does an absolutely fantastic job with the character that they're given. Maybe with the sole exception of Quentin Tarantino, but I think that's a given.
Yeah.
Yeah. The non-linear storytelling is neat, and I know how influential it is. I don't think it's necessary for the plot of Pulp Fiction, and really the plot of Pulp Fiction is kind of boring if it didn't have that non-linear storytelling. There's not much there.
That
What's
you
your
just
opinion on
contradicted
Memento?
yourself there. You
Huh?
just contradicted yourself there.
What? I think that the plot, if it was in a linear narrative, would be extremely boring. And that
But you just said it's not necessary that it's non-linear.
yeah,
I think
But
she's saying
you
it would be
just-
boring either way.
it would be boring either way. It doesn't make sense that it's in a non-linear
I thought-
narrative, but even if
I
it wasn't in that,
Oh, I thought you meant like the reason why it's not boring is because it's not linear.
no, it's not a bad movie. I think it's interesting the way that it's structured. I don't get why it needs to be structured that way. But then again, if it wasn't structured that way, it wouldn't be holding my attention at all.
Okay.
And that, I know this is going to be a point of contention, but the conclusion just isn't satisfying at all to me. Like, I know we've talked about Lynch before, and Lynch does do conclusions that are extremely vague, but in a way that it seems like there's an actual meaning behind it that you could maybe figure out. Like, the suitcase at the end. I know that's what everybody hammers on, but it...
No. That suitcase doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's a red herring. It's a MacGuffin, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't like it. I think it's boring. Anyway. Tarantino cameo
Okay.
isn't good. So
Okay.
Technically, the ending
actually-
is actually Bruce Willis's scene.
Yeah.
technically,
No,
yeah.
okay. But I noticed you used to like this movie a lot more though.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because it was the
uh,
first Tarantino movie I'd ever seen. And I went through and watched all of them back to back and realized, hey, he has a lot better movies than this.
But that shouldn't mean that means Pulp Fiction is worse. It just means you like his other ones
Yes,
more.
That, and I watched
Although,
Pulp
if
Fiction
you-
my freshman year of college when I'd watched maybe 100 movies max.
Yeah.
And I've
Yeah,
watched
yeah.
1,200. So
Oh, yeah. Boom. Alrighty. I could combat. Totally essential. 6 out of 10.
thanks, John.
That he's John, for the record, likes Pulp Fiction.
It's not bad. I just don't think it's
So-
Tarantino's best. I understand
It
why
is.
it's like in film canon.
No, I still don't think you do though. Because you
I
don't
do.
like
I
it.
just don't care.
No, that's wrong. That's just wrong.
It's not wrong.
Well, whatever.
Their opinions, they can be
Their
different.
opinions, except for mine. That's just a fact. I'm sorry.
Yeah, see, that's the issue though.
All right, I'm butting
not
in
a
now
fact.
because we're going in
Yeah, go
circles.
for it. Yeah.
This was my favorite Tarantino movie for a long time. On a rewatch, it's dropped down to third, just because two of his others are so good. But I still think it is, like Steven said, one of the best films ever made. I think that harping on the nonlinear structure is a non-issue, just because it's a gimmick. It's still part of the movie. Like if you put Memento in chronological order, it would be boring. The whole thing is that I mean, it's just the movie. It's not necessarily hypotheticals don't really make a movie better or worse, I guess. It's you just got to take it as it is. And like I think that Pulp Fiction is the most quotable Tarantino movie by a long shot. I think every scene in it is really, really well done. Like I think every scene is memorable. I can remember all of the various little chapters and stuff, which is more than I can say for at least half of his movies. I think everyone plays their parts to perfection. I think it's very well done. The soundtrack's very well integrated. I think it is a Tarantino movie through and through. Like if I was to point someone to the quintessential Tarantino film, I'd say Pulp Fiction. That being said, I do think there are some spots where it drags a little. I do think some of the scenes are a little unnecessary or have unnecessary parts. Like the Gimp scene is just a little much for me. Honestly, I mean, there's at least one scene in every Tarantino film where I'm like, this just makes me uncomfortable and I don't really like watching this. And that's the Gimp scene in this one. I think Quentin Tarantino's cameo is terrible. I don't know why he's there just to drop N-words. It's not even valid for anything else. It doesn't even make sense in the context of the scene why he's using those. Other than the fact that he's the screenwriter and can say it in the movie and get away with it. Which just feels weird. But yeah, I think just from the starting scene with like Miserlou playing after the couples talk about their plan, and then ending in the diner is really good. Like it did take me quite a while into the film the first time I watched it to realize it was nonlinear. But then once I realized that, I thought it was really cool. Yeah, it's nice to see Bruce Willis in a movie where he still cared. Yeah, I think overall, just like excellent casting, excellent scenes, excellent dialogue, excellent soundtrack. Really, really well done.
Harvey Keitel is so good in this too. It's like he hasn't fallen, but
Are you fucking serious?
super memorable character, I think.
How's the game going, Steven?
Dude, the Cowboys just missed their extra point field goal attempt. That was funny. That was funny.
Thank you. I spent $40 on it for another presentation I have to do at some point. I got tired of my headset microphone, so.
You're way more prepared than we are.
No, I'm not.
You're like professional lighting and everything.
It's a desk lamp.
That's professional lighting in my book.
Okay.
I have no front light right now. It's all backlight. So.
You've got like really suspenseful lighting in the back, Steven.
I know.
Like
I know.
frames.
It looks like I'm about to like kill someone.
I can just make my face.
It's like the
washed
basement
out.
scene in Zodiac, literally. But you know.
What was the quote from Zodiac? It's like, actually, I made the posters in the basement. It just clicks off the light. I love that movie. That's a whole other ranked list.
Yeah, that'll
Could do.
be sometime probably. But
Thing is, I don't have any opinions on Fincher movies other than like maybe 3. So
it'll be
it'd be difficult.
you know, everything it can come up eventually. You know.
Matthew,
But,
thoughts on Pulp Fiction?
Pulp Fiction is definitely it's easily one of Tarantino's best. I always struggle with like which one is my favorite because I just feel like I don't want to spoil everything yet. So, but I think like Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction, I always have a hard time like deciding which one I like more. And then there's one more in there, but I can talk about it later.
Yeah.
I do think that like I really like the non-linear like storytelling. I think it enhances the movie because of that. Like just because it wouldn't work linearly, like I think because it is non-linear, I feel like it did really like enhance like the story and just like really intrigued me. And then like you guys have already said a lot of this, but the cast is just so good and easily like Jules and Vincent, like I just like feel their story and like Samuel L. Jackson is just amazing as Jules, like easily one of like the best like movie characters in general.
I can't think of another actor that would have done that role better than Samuel L. Jackson.
It was
Eddie
written
Murphy.
for Lawrence Fishburne. the role was written for Lawrence Fishburne, actually.
Really?
But his agents talked him out of doing it because they were saying you need to be a lead man. You need to make that A-list step, and if you do this role, you're not going to be an A-lister. And so he was like, I guess not. Or they were asking for too much money. I don't know. It's something like, it was too much money as well. They were asking for too much. So that it was like, he was like, all right, this movie is like low budget. I mean, it's one of the few, like, I think it's the last Tarantino movie where he noticeably uses like handheld. And I forgot that he used to be like kind of an independent filmmaker before going more big budget. There was a interception by the Cowboys there. So
sucks.
No,
to anyone who
good.
not watching the game that wants to watch it later, though.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't think it's okay. But that's. I just thought it was an interesting tidbit. Lawrence Fishburne, actually, originally.
Yeah,
No,
I can't see Lawrence Fishburne yelling and my name
No.
is the Lord. Do they speak English and what?
I will admit that Pulp Fiction is definitely the most quotable Tarantino movie. I still think it drags.
If you don't like Pulp Fiction, don't be a square.
Yeah. No, I guess I shouldn't talk about it too much. We got other movies to talk about, but
we do.
I'll say one more thing. I think the non-linear is very important, and I think it's cool how it shows like the path of Jules versus the path of Vincent Vega. Like, I think the dichotomy between those two characters is like very much the heart of the story. But I just wanted to throw that in there a bit. And the fact, like, because if it played out chronologically, you wouldn't get that as much. Because, like, the ending, you have this catharsis where, like, Jules is he made that choice, and he's not going to end up like Vincent. And it's kind of like this big emotional, impactful moment. Also, as a bad motherfucker wallet, I mean, that's just badass. So, yeah.
Also, forgot to bring up Christopher Walken, who has a great chemistry.
Yeah, sticks the watch up his butt like a badass.
Yeah.
John, last one.
Whenever you.
I really wouldn't have anything to say.
No, eventually.
I probably wouldn't be involved there.
Nah.
Or what John was saying about too, but
not a clue. I know there's like a lag in between the live chat and the stream and here. So I have no idea what they're referring to.
But I'm gonna bring back up the list, and I'm gonna put in Pulp Fiction, and we'll go around and with you guys, who wants to put Pulp Fiction?
I don't think we made our case strong enough, Rachel.
Yeah.
I don't think we have either.
Reservoir Dogs. Yeah.
I can just say anything.
Number one.
God fucking damn it! If it gets top spot,
it should.
It shouldn't. It shouldn't.
Dude,
okay, who in this call has Pulp Fiction as their top Tarantino movie other than Steven?
Me.
Well, I already
really.
Top three are interchangeable. So.
But
for the purposes of this call, make one of them not Pulp Fiction.
Make one of them not Pulp Fiction so I can prove my point, please.
I will say this: as long as the list is not as bad as like, yeah, dude.
Fair.
It's the Cowboys. Anyway, what was I going to say? Yeah, whatever. Oh yeah, IMDb ranking as long as
Mhm.
it's not as bad as that one, because the way it's ranked on IMDb is just awful. Like it's not awful, but
Isn't it like the
there's a
fifth best movie of all time?
no, not Pulp Fiction. I mean like Tarantino's like the ranking of his
Okay.
films.
As long as we don't have it like the IMDb rankings where Pulp Fiction is on top. I think it's a great list.
No, everything besides Pulp Fiction being number one is pretty wrong. That's what I was getting.
Oh,
at.
that's a terrible list.
Yeah. So anyway,
Yeah. So, anyone have anything else to say about Pulp Fiction? Or
we should move on because,
All right.
So Pulp
in all
Fiction
honesty,
made, I
that's
think
the
we all
one
agree.
I have the most to say about anyway. So
Yeah.
I could say a lot more.
We've gotten
but I
through
gotta hold-
2 in 30 minutes.
Yeah. We'll be
But,
here for a bit.
the next one should be a little shorter since only 2 of us
Yeah,
have seen
that's,
it.
that's. Oh wait,
4
really?
Rooms.
Oh, 4 rooms. Okay.
Four
Oh,
Rooms,
no.
can we just automatically put at the bottom? I don't
Yeah,
think we need
Who
to talk
cares?
about
Who
it.
gives a- who gives a fuck? It sucks.
The
No.
only-
I'm never gonna watch it, so who cares?
You gotta for that completionism, though.
I don't care. It's not his movie.
A third of it is.
It's a fourth.
Fourth of it is.
Yeah, 4.
Exactly. That's how
I
bad
keep
it
forgetting
is.
there's like the second one.
Technically-
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to. Technically, it's like 3. It's 2.
Does that like incomplete percentage on Letterboxd bother you at all, Steven?
No.
Really?
Because it's literally it says
Only
like
for Pro members.
the thing is half the time like usually you will never complete a director's filmography on Letterboxd because like half of them listed are like not even really a few like there might be 2 or 3 upcoming projects, some random
Yeah.
short films or a music video he directed like so it's fine.
I used to have 100% Matthew Vaughn completion. No, Wes Anderson completion, then French Dispatch.
So
got
did I.
announced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could
Sad
watch I could log like the music video M. Night Shyamalan directed, and then once this new movie came out, I'd be at 100%. But I don't care.
It's only like 5 minutes. You're fine.
Yeah, I don't care.
The
I'm
only
not
note
gonna
I have
log-
written down for 4 Rooms is just Tim Roth cum potion, which I think puts it firmly at the bottom.
Uh-huh.
Cum potion.
Tim Roth
Yeah.
is doing something
Sounds
in that movie.
uncomfortable.
Tim Roth is really doing something in that movie. Yeah. I don't know.
He's doing something.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe what he's doing, but he's doing a lot of it in that movie.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Was it
I will
worth it
say
for
that
the Tomei cameo?
I'm sorry?
Was it worth watching for the Marissa Tomei cameo?
Yeah. I like Marissa Tomei. She's cool. Also, the Robert Rodriguez section is pretty neat.
Yeah.
So I'd
And
say
not
it's
a
worth it just for watching that.
Foot fetish, but
Also, Andrew said he has watched Pulp Fiction.
Has he? Okay.
Yep. So
Okay. Why didn't he commented? Why isn't he?
I don't know.
Why isn't he here? And
Why isn't he here?
Yeah, interesting.
participate.
If you can hear us, give us a sign.
How did he know that we were talking about whether he'd seen it or not?
He just
Probably
is
just
always listening.
Rachel
And I
texted him.
texted him.
Oh, okay.
I was ready to make fun of him for not seeing Pulp Fiction and being a film major. So yeah, I think only 2 of us have seen 4 Rooms. So
No, that
F
was a
tier.
decision.
Lowest
F
one.
tier, bottom of the list. I don't think anyone will.
Well,
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah.
What's next?
All right.
Jackie Brown.
Jackie Brown.
Yeah. You can start with Steven.
You want to start with me? I love this movie. It's great. I think it's, some of Tarantino's films have a great sense of warmth and you're kind of like, you feel like it's just really, you feel like a warm blanket is wrapped over you and you're just like comfortable listening to all these people talk and it's kind of nice. You're just vibing with them. It's a hangout. It's a good time. And I think Jackie Brown is a great way to follow up Pulp Fiction. It's different. You know, he probably couldn't have made it at any other point of his career. Um, I think the characters are all fantastic. Um, I love how Samuel L. Jackson's character is completely, well, not completely, but very different. Yeah, completely different from Jules. And also, Pam Grier. It's cool to see Tarantino, starting to be able to. Well, he did it with Pulp Fiction with John Travolta, as he is a major fan of Blowout. But also, with Pam Grier, inserting one of his childhood, or at least up and coming film fan favorites growing up, and I think she delivers. Robert Forster, also fantastic. The whole cast. I mean, okay, every Tarantino movie, great cast. So I guess we don't need to mention that
Yeah.
really. But and that heist in the middle, just very fun, bubbly, and also tense too. The interactions between De Niro and Bridget Fonda are awesome in this movie. They're just like chilling in the apartment. It's like, you want to have sex? Okay. And then they're like, all right, cool. It's just hilarious. and then it's like, and then they go on to the heist sequence, which is also non-linear, but also like the way it's edited is so fun. Um, and then you have like him reshoots her, like, what the fuck? It's great. It's hilarious. And then you get like Samuel Jackson delivers two of my favorite lines in like movie history with the "My ass may be dumb, but I ain't no dumbass," and "What happened to you, man? Or what the fuck happened to you, man? Your ass used to be beautiful." Just yeah. So love it, love it. Pam Grier, Robert Forster's relationship in this movie is great too. It's not too forced, and it's not like they get a happily ever after. It's kind of bittersweet, middle-aged romance. You don't really get many, I think, in Hollywood movies quite like that. So yeah, love this one. Definitely high up there for me.
All right. Rachel, what do you have to say?
I didn't like that much. It just didn't work for me. Cast is great. Heist scene also great. I just don't think it deserved the really long runtime of 2 hours and 30 something minutes. I felt like almost every single minute of that runtime, and I have no idea why. Pam Grier is amazing in it, though. I don't really have much to say about this.
By the
Aiden.
way, I'm not gonna get mad at anyone's opinions anymore. Pulp Fiction's just the one I needed to adamantly defend, because I can't stand it slander. So yeah, that's all. Just had to get that out of the way.
All right. Aiden, what do you have to say for Jackie Brown?
I'll be honest. I didn't get to rewatch this one or Death Proof, but I've seen Death Proof recently enough I can talk about that. It's been several years since I've seen Jackie Brown, so I don't remember much of it. I think it's a very forgettable movie. It's at the number 6 in my ranking. It's kind of mid-tier. The only things I really remember are the ending, Robert De Niro being an abusive person, and Samuel Jackson having one of the worst movie haircuts I've ever seen.
That's so bad.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, I think it dragged. From what I remember just being kind of bored and it just feeling way too long. So I think it's just mid-tier for me. But I'd have to give it a rewatch to solidify that.
Matt, what about you?
Yeah, I'm with Rachel and Aiden. I'm still sort of in this like lukewarm phase of his filmography. I like not much. I don't really remember much. The only thing I like remember is the Chris Tucker sequence, but I think that's happened at the beginning, and that's about the only thing I really remember.
The one where he gets put in the car.
Yeah, which
Yeah,
doesn't
that's
really
really
have
a
like a
great
whole
scene.
lot to do with the movie. A ton, but
I wanted to
it's
mention
fun.
that and I didn't, but yeah, that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, I mean, Pam Grier is great. I do want to rewatch this one because I think I currently have it ranked last, but I still enjoy it. It's just not one that I really like feel like I need to come back to and rewatch. It doesn't really have like that like one scene where you can say, oh yeah, that was a really great scene. And usually most of his other movies have at least one of those. This one really doesn't do much for me. So
this one I really like, actually. I think it's one of the more underrated Tarantino movies. It's been a while since I've seen it, so there's like not a whole lot I feel like I can talk about, but I do like really like the heist scene in the shopping mall. Like I remember that pretty clearly, like in like the parking lot. And then you know, like you guys already talked about, the cast is great. I really like Robert Forster. Like I think he was like really good. And it's like the first time I noticed him as an actor. Like so, like yeah. But
Twin Peaks.
I do have it in the lower half of my ranking, but that's just because Tarantino movies are all like so good. So
yeah, that too. That's an issue we'll see come up for the rest of this list.
So yeah, I'm gonna bring up the letterbox list, and we can decide where we want to.
I think it's pretty easy here. Above 4 Rooms for sure.
Yeah.
Below
below
Reservoir Dogs. I guess.
Yeah, that's fine.
I need to rewatch Reservoir Dogs, but I can agree with this.
Mm-hmm. All right. Before we go on to the next movie, we got some people talking about
again.
Future.
I'd love to see a Fincher episode with
Kubrick
Andrew
episode.
Noah.
I would love to do a Kubrick episode.
Would it be
If
all of
anyone
his
wants
movies, or would it be a top 10?
I love how I refer to Sam as a Fincher simp. I don't, you know, it was great, and I love it. She's carrying that title with pride.
Talking
yes,
shit about Nick would be
John.
so fun.
No,
Dude,
I can't.
yeah, that's
not
Aiden's
convincing
favorite.
that's
David
my
Fincher
that's
film.
my hot
What?
take. It's his
We
it's
need
his best
to. We
movie.
need to talk about Tarantino though.
It's not this episode, but holy shit, man.
If anyone wants
I know.
to send in
David
suggestions,
Finch kind of boring.
send a message. I'll send the
Hey,
the form
Albert.
again.
Fuck you, Albert.
But let's
That movie
move
is
on.
No, let him
bro.
speak. Let him speak. I think Albert
No.
makes a good point.
No.
All right, let's move on to Kill Bill now. Let's start with Rachel.
Finally, I love this movie. I think it's super fun.
It is.
Fucking Uma Thurman. I like Uma Thurman in this movie a lot better than Pulp Fiction, just because I think she has a lot more to do by virtue of just being the main character, which makes a lot of sense. I love the House of Blue Leaves sequence is one of my favorite Tarantino sequences. Third to only 2 scenes in Inglourious Bastards, which I can talk about later. But the entire movie is just so fun. Lucy Liu is perfect in that role. And Oren and the whole story with her is fantastic. The only part that I don't enjoy that much is the animated part, but I don't think that's a hot take. It's just kind of But other than that, I really enjoy it. Super fun, super bloody. That's it. Choreography's amazing. I just have Lucy Liu with a heart down in my notes.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Lucy Liu is great in this movie. So
yeah,
I get that. All right, Aiden, let's go to you next.
This is my hot take for Tarantino. This is my second least favorite. I don't like this movie at all. Let me clarify. I think the Crazy 88 sequence through the ending, top tier Tarantino. I think the rest of the movie, awful. I don't like anything else in the movie up until the Crazy 88 scene. It doesn't have good dialogue. I don't like any of his soundtrack choices. I don't think it's interesting. I just watched it 2 days ago, and I couldn't tell you anything that happened up until the Crazy 88 part, and like maybe the beginning and the Hattori Hanzo scene. I also don't like the anime sequence. I do think Uma Thurman's great. I think Lucy Liu's great. But it's just missing. For me, it just felt like it was missing that Tarantino touch. Like, it didn't feel like a Tarantino movie until the Crazy 88 sequence, in my opinion. I think it does so many kind of weird things. Like, it starts with the Klingon proverb which is sort of funny, but doesn't match anything else in the film. It's got the anime sequence, which just felt kind of out of place.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think any of the dialogue in this movie has the same feel as any of his other films. Like, it's not snappy, it's not quotable, it's not even really interesting to listen to. It's just kind of a vehicle to move the plot along to the next fight scene. It just doesn't work for me. I don't know why, because I love Kill Bill Volume 2. That's the weird thing. I think Kill Bill Volume 2 is one of my favorites. But this one, I have a hard time getting through. It's like one of the shortest ones. So
Okay, but I do quote, tear the bitch apart almost on a weekly basis to my friends. So
I would say this movie's quotable.
yeah.
It's been like over a year since I've seen it, so it's not as fresh, but it's still decently quotable.
Little Caucasian girl likes to play with samurai swords. Or I collect your fucking head. That scene's really good. I love that scene. Just when she's in the conference room with everybody.
yeah. Yeah, Lucy Liu's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, most of the movie is just That's my hot take. I know you're all ashamed of me.
Sad.
Pulp Fiction. No, it's not Pulp Fiction, so I don't care.
Yeah.
My God. Can we move on from Pulp Fiction, please? Jesus. It's useless to talk about Pulp Fiction in this stupid podcast.
Yeah, so I love this movie. I do agree with Aiden. I love like Volume 2 even more than this one. But yeah, I mean, I love just the style of it. Copperhead fight is great. Around the like house and the kitchen. Cottonmouth fight is great. The anime thing isn't really like my thing, but I don't really mind it. I think I agree it doesn't necessarily fit, but I think it just adds character to the movie. In that it just is there. I think you could easily take it out and it would be fine. Like, it wouldn't really change anything. But I don't really like care all that much about it being in there. And yeah, I mean, I think this particular one, like when you compare to Volume 2, it wasn't really as much about the dialogue as it was about kind of setting up the story, the plot, and focusing more on the kind of over-the-top fighting, whereas you kind of moved into more of the memorable dialogue and kind of character moments that I personally preferred in Volume 2 more, but I definitely enjoyed the action in this one as well. And again, yeah, as we keep saying, the cast is great. Again, I do like the cast a little more in Volume 2, but like Vivica A. Fox, Lucy Liu, they're great in this one. So I think it sets up the story really nicely.
All right.
Yeah. I guess I'll just say I really enjoy this one as well. Admittedly, a bit more surface level than most of Tarantino's work. So I wouldn't put it top tier Tarantino, but I did like it more when I watched it again. The first time I watched it on my phone with like 20% battery on a bus ride to a cross country meet. So maybe that had something to do with it. But I did enjoy it a lot on rewatch. More so, I liked it the first time, still, but it's there's plenty of memorable scenes. I really like the kitchen fight. That's something that's really fun and creative and subversive. It'd be interesting if we got a Volume 3 with the kid. So yeah. Another interception. That was the eyes did that. That's why. But yeah, it was a fun movie. Lots of fun callbacks. The opening in black and white, and then I shot the sheriff, bang bang. Yes, that's pretty sweet too. So overall, yeah, fun movie. And I guess I shouldn't say too much because don't want to keep people here for 5 hours.
There's only a couple more. Actually, I'm not keeping count, but
That's
Yeah,
what.
I haven't seen this one in a while, but I
Yeah.
can't do math right now.
There's only 6 more
But-
movies. There's only 6 more movies.
Yeah, I'm going to take a restroom break. Don't mind me.
Okay.
Have fun.
But
Be
yeah,
safe.
Here, you
don't
can
miss.
look at my Pulp Fiction poster. while you're at it.
Oh my god.
Wonderful.
While he's gone, we
Perfect.
should move Pulp Fiction down in the list.
Please, God.
Nope.
Thank
I
God
will
he is
defend it.
gone. Anyway,
I'll defend it.
I just think it's overrated. I went into it and I'm like, cool, it's good. Like he did,
He probably does.
I
He's
have
Yeah.
He's a weird dude. Thanks for that mental image, John.
The action is
Appreciate
great.
Thanks, John.
it.
Love it. But
You're
let's just
cutting out a lot
move
there,
on to Kill
Matthew.
Bill Volume
Yeah.
2. No.
Can we just place Kill Bill like really high
Yeah,
while
like
Steven's
at the
gone?
top at this point. I think.
At the top. Let's go.
Yeah. I mean, why not?
Yeah.
Okay. Any better?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
A little
fine.
bit, yeah.
Okay. What was the last thing that I said? I guess.
We were
I
all
didn't
agreeing
hear
that we
anything.
put Kill Bill Volume 1 at the top of the Tarantino
No,
list
we're
for right now.
not agreeing that at all.
It's 2 to 1.
No,
It's 2 to
I
1.
no.
disagree. I
Shit.
would put it up, but
I mean, I'm not gonna fight for it particularly hard to be in a particular spot, other than it's below Pulp Fiction.
Matt, we were so close.
I think we can put it above Reservoir.
It's above
Dogs.
Reservoir Dogs at the
Yeah,
very
I think
least.
that's fair.
well, we should wait for Steven because that's
We already know what
Yeah.
he's gonna say.
Yeah. He's going to say it's like below Jackie Brown at least. I don't know if it would be below Reservoir Dogs for him, although I don't think he agrees with the.
I think
Hi, Steven.
I'd put Kill Bill Volume 1 below Jackie Brown. But I don't know if anyone here agrees with me.
I think more of us agree.
I
that
agree
we-
with you, but I'm also in the minority opinion about this movie.
Wait.
more of us think that should be
That
a-
means 3 against 2. That's 3 against 2. And Aiden strongly dislikes Volume 1, whereas you guys don't. Well, Rachel kind of doesn't.
I
like
really
Jackie
like
Brown a lot,
Volume
but
1.
I
That's
really like
but
Volume
Matt likes Jackie Brown more than Aiden dislikes Volume 1. So I think we have to put Jackie Brown
Wait.
above Volume 1.
What if
Wait,
I just think Jackie Brown is aggressively mid? What about that?
What
Would
makes
that
me a
even it out?
professional podcaster?
Leaving the podcast 5 minutes.
It's an hour. Also, this is what happens when you drink alcohol. So
True.
that's yeah. No. Hey, I have listened
I'm
to
fine
plenty of
putting it below Jackie
podcasts.
Brown.
I think Volume 1 is twice as entertaining as Jackie Brown.
I think
Is
it's
that
at least 3 or 4 times as
Yeah,
entertaining
like-
as Jackie Brown.
I
It
okay.
might be
We're,
more enter-
we're not gonna do it by because like it just becomes too complicated because we have 5 people who are
Mhm.
gonna vote on.
Yeah. But it is okay. You know what?
If
We
3
could
of us
have-
are
you
voting,
You could have
later.
everyone give a number and we average that number.
Okay, 15.
That's not how this works. Out of
20.
5.
Oh,
out of
5.
Out of 5, 5.
Out of the 5
Five.
spots, where would you put
Wait.
it?
Oh, one. Right
Oh, yeah,
now,
one.
for the
One.
5 spot.
Okay.
1.
Okay.
I
Definitely.
don't like this. Volume 1, I would put at 4.
1 plus 1 plus 3 plus 4.
I'd put it at 4 as well.
1 plus 1 plus 3 plus 4. This feels like the end of the Clue movie.
okay, I think
1
we'll just
1 plus.
because I
Just
Yeah.
leave it there. Listen.
Yeah, that's
we'll
fine.
do it at the end. It's fine. Who cares? Just move on.
right. Let's go on
I
to
don't-
Volume 2.
Oh boy, the good one.
Yeah.
Starting with Aiden.
I hate
Uh,
this podcast.
Yeah, this movie is
Did
amazing.
I?
I love it.
Did
Like
I
especially the
just
end,
state that you haven't seen
Uh,
a lot of movies?
the monologue with like from Bill. Like it's so oddly calming, like with David Carradine's voice. And yeah, I love the interaction with like Bud and Al Driver. I think it's just fantastic. I think the dialogue is maybe not as memorable or quippy as like a lot of his other work, but I think it's a little more interesting, especially compared to Volume 1. Like as much as I love Volume 1, like Volume 2 just like even takes it up even more of a notch. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I can agree with that, I guess. I'll say Volume 2, it's really subversive. I really like how it turns into a dramatic film more so, after the first part being kind of more, just Tarantino setting up a celebration to the samurai films of old and reinventing it through a postmodern lens. Yeah, Volume 2, yeah, David Carradine being there really helps. He's great here. There's one thing I wanted to say. The Superman speech, of course, gotta love it. Honestly, okay, Jackie Brown, like, I haven't seen Volume 2 recently enough to be sure, but I might actually prefer this to Jackie Brown, but I need to watch this again. Because right now it's like, I'd say Jackie Brown's above it, just because I want to be kind of, against the grain a bit, be a bit more into the Kino cinephile. But for the right now, I'll say Volume 2 slightly above, but yeah, that's all I gotta say there. Also, shut up people who are like, oh, there's too many unnecessary scenes in Volume 2. Like, who cares? They all rule, so whatever.
I like the preemptive counterpoint to my review of it. It's very nice.
I didn't even know you had that.
Yeah. It takes a lot different of a tone than Volume 1, which I don't really find entertaining. I won't lie. It takes a much more humanistic approach, which after... I did watch Kill Bill Volume 2 immediately after Volume 1, which the tone shift did not work for me at all. I would say that the whole chapter of Elle and I is definitely the peak of the movie. I think the entire fight sequence inside the trailer is amazing. And the final conflict with Bill, while the dialogue was great, it just felt really anticlimactic. I don't know. The 5-point exploding palm heart technique just feels like it isn't as satisfying as, I don't know, maybe a samurai sword fight would have been, but that also seems like it'd be too cheesy or something. I don't know. I just didn't enjoy as much as Volume 1. I, again, don't have much to say. I miss Oren so much. Lucy Liu, come back, please. I know she's dead, but please. In the movie, not in real life. That would suck if she was. Jesus.
She's back in a couple flashback scenes.
Oh yeah, she is. Is she credited for those, or is she?
Yeah, she is credited.
I think so. Yeah.
In the film.
Okay.
I think basically the entire cast is like credited in both films anyway, though. Just
Yeah.
like Tarantino's like, it's one movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd rate it below Volume 1 personally. Just, I like the surface level samurai sword shit. I'm not as here for the emotionally grounded stuff in Volume 2. So.
Yeah. I'll just say one thing though. Like you said, grounded, and I think for me it's not necessarily because it's grounded, but more how it subverts your expectations in a satisfying way. That phrase is so taboo now because of The Last Jedi. But like sometimes subverting expectations is a good. Like the internet blows up about that word now, but Tarantino does it very well, and I think it's more how instead of this elaborate fight, which we already got anyway, you get the mom tucking her daughter in emotionally. She's watching a movie with her. Yeah, that's nice. So yeah. It doesn't feel unwarranted either, I guess. That's how I'll say. But I can get not liking it as much as Volume 1. For sure.
This is my fourth favorite Tarantino film. If we're still doing anything to do with actual ranks and real ranked.
I'd put it.
We're just here to have fun.
It
Our rank Letterboxd list.
Yeah, I think the dialogue is miles better than Volume 1. I'm actually interested. Every scene with Michael Madsen in it is pure gold. I love all of his scenes so much. Bill is kind of the weird exception to this. I like the dialogue scene at the end. I don't like how they resolve it. I agree with Rachel that he's entirely
Thank you.
anticlimactic. And
Thank you.
it's very weird to have him built up as the main villain she's going to try and defeat for 2 movies. And at the very end, there's a conversation about Superman, them playing house for a little bit, and then she blows up his heart while they both look lovingly at each other. It didn't feel like the right resolution necessarily. But yeah, I think pretty much everything else about this movie is really well done. Like especially the fight in the trailer, everything with Michael Madsen, the dialogue, the soundtrack choices. It does have the grossest foot shot in all of his movies, though. Besides maybe
Second yes.
where Bill steps on an eyeball with her bare foot. That's gross. But yeah, I think this movie just worked so much more for me. I liked this tone a lot more. I think it's still doing a lot of non-linear stuff, as Tarantino likes to do, but I do think that it works in this one. I think there's only one of his movies where the non-linear didn't work for me, and we'll get to that later. But yeah, this one solid. Really like it.
Now I'm worried.
I mean, it's not an unpopular opinion.
No, I am worried.
This one I remember less than I do of Volume 1. Maybe I should have rewatched it before, but did not have time. Watched another movie that is coming up later instead. So yeah, this one I just don't remember as well. I remember the trailer seeing once you guys bring it up, but
Yeah.
I feel like they kind of come together having been so far away since I've watched it. I'm just gonna bring up some comments before I pull up the list again.
About what?
You, Aiden.
Do you want me to pull out the list? I can pull out the list right here and read on the air the giant list of all the movies you haven't watched. It's really embarrassing.
It's okay. I haven't seen
Super
One
crazy.
Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest or Breakfast Club or Ghostbusters.
SMH. Ghostbusters?
I know.
You haven't seen Ghostbusters?
Breakfast Club and Ghostbusters are the two from the 80s, or the two big 80s movies I have not seen.
I can understand Breakfast Club, but Ghostbusters is good.
No, well, it's just a matter of sometimes you just miss a movie because you just never got around to it. It's not like I don't want to watch it or anything.
I'm sorry, Breakfast Club is definitely one of the better Hughes movies. Although that's not saying much when the other Hughes movies are 16 candles. So
it's a good
weird science.
Did he direct Planes, Trains, and Automobiles? He did, right?
Yeah. He did. He did.
See, I really love that film. So
yeah, it's a great Thanksgiving movie.
Yeah. All right.
Watch it every year.
I'm gonna pull back up the list, and we can figure out where we want to put Volume 2.
I think we're gonna. I'll say
3.
In terms of ranking, I say 4. But okay, for this list,
4.
I want it above. I want it. Honest for this list. Well, it's hard because I want it above Volume 1 for sure. But I think. Wait, Matthew, do you like Volume 1 more?
I like Volume 1 more. Yes.
Okay, it's 3 against 2 because maybe we should put Volume 2 above Jackie Brown.
I would
definitely.
I would personally put it between Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs.
I would put it between Volume 1 and Jackie Brown at this point.
I mean, this list is already not matching because I would put Volume 1 at the right above 4 Rooms and then have Volume 2 be below Jackie Brown. Or we can put but I'll accept Volume 2 above Jackie Brown and Volume 1 here. That's okay with me.
Wait,
it's either at
right
2 or
there.
3.
It's
Yeah.
definitely above Jackie Brown. How many people
Yeah.
wanted above Volume 1?
I do. That's
Three of us.
That's
Damn.
That's tough.
you got outvoted.
We'll put it above them. Yeah.
Damn.
I hate to see Jackie Brown already be so low though.
Yeah, you guys are all a bunch of
It's
Jackie
like
Brown.
the. I want to average or look at
I am-
Quentin Tarantino's movies like by average rating. I think Pulp Fiction would be top,
Yeah.
but I don't remember.
Yeah. Are you saying for
If you're going
Letterboxd
if you're
or-
going
Yeah,
by
for
like
Letterboxd.
if you're going by like IMDb or Letterboxd, Pulp Fiction's the top.
Letterboxd, because yeah,
Actually,
It's
Django
definitely-
might
but-
have beat it.
after that it's
No.
very different.
It's Pulp Fiction for the Letterboxd rankings. It's Pulp Fiction, Inglourious Bastards, Volume 1,
No.
Django, Reservoir
No.
Dogs,
No.
Volume 2, Hateful Eight, Jackie Brown, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and then Death Proof.
Okay. I was
Base
thinking about
ranking,
I think
actually.
I was thinking about IMDb rankings. That's what I
Talking about
usually
Death
refer to.
Great.
Because IMDb's worse though for sure. All right, Death Proof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Depends on the movie.
Uh,
A lot of the times,
wants to kick it off,
Letterboxd
I can,
matches IMDb's rating.
Mhm.
There's
not
only a
not
couple
for
movies that's different.
Tarantino. I don't think it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
What's
All
the
right,
next
I
one?
can talk about Death
Proof.
Proof,
Start,
I guess.
let's start with
Death
Aiden,
Proof.
yeah.
Aiden. All right. Yes. Go for it, Aiden.
Wait, me
Yeah,
first.
Ripped it apart.
This is his worst film
Yeah. Go.
by a lot. This is the film that I think his nonlinear storytelling doesn't work. The entire first half of the movie is meaningless. You get rid of all of the characters except for Kurt Russell, and then you don't even put Kurt Russell in the second half until like the very end. It doesn't make sense. It's not it's not interesting. It's not enjoyable. The dialogue's okay. I mean, it's got some good needle drops, but overall, this movie, I mean, let me preface this by saying I didn't watch it in his intended version with Planet Terror as like a double feature. I don't know if that would have changed my opinion at all, but
Probably not.
this movie didn't work for me. I didn't think it was enjoyable. I think I was just bored for most of it, and then like at the halfway point, you realize that none of it really mattered, and it's just frustrating because you feel this is like his only one that I watched that I was like, I feel like I just wasted my time. All of his other ones, even if I didn't really care for them, I was like, well, I can see
Volume
why.
1.
Yeah, even Volume 1,
And I guess with
I can be
Volume 1,
like,
you get Volume 2. You get Volume 2. So.
right, but even with Volume
You
1, I
need it
can be like,
there
I
to,
can
like,
understand. Even with Volume 1, I can understand why people like it and like how it's influential and stuff like that, even if it's just not for me. But I don't think there's anything redeemable about Death Proof. And Kurt Russell puts a foot in his mouth. It's disgusting. It's the worst. It's the worst foot scene in his already bad filmography of foot scenes.
Just watch From Dusk Till Dawn.
It's
I don't think I will,
no,
actually.
I know about the scene in that, and I'm not.
It's fun.
I'm not
Watch
gonna
From
watch
Dusk
it.
Till
Fun
Dawn.
movie.
It's fun.
I think it's really good. I like the
It's
movie.
fun. I think all of you
I
here would
can't
get a kick
can't
out of
bear
it.
it.
It's like
yeah,
it's like it's just a small scene.
Well, he didn't
So-
direct it, so
like it's kind of
so
interesting
Rodriguez.
when you realize that Kurt Russell's the bad guy. Like that scene's interesting at least, but then it just kind of completely glazes over any consequences of it for the entire rest of the movie. And so you're like, why did he even bother to show that? So I don't know if it's necessarily a controversial take or not, but I would put this at the bottom for his movies.
It's the bottom rated Tarantino movie on Letterboxd, so I wouldn't say it's that hot,
And
hot of a take.
IMDb easily. So
And
yeah,
IMDb. So
yeah.
All right, Matt, what do you have to say for Death Proof?
Well, I have not seen it yet. So I have.
Not much.
I mean, I could talk about it if you want, but I think I'll just maybe I'll rate it as like number 1 just out of spite, so the entire list just gets thrown off. But
It's already thrown off.
yeah, it's not
Who
even
cares?
I'll take it.
But
Matt,
yeah,
what do you
I'll
think
let.
of Kurt Russell? How
It's
was
gonna
that
get
for you?
worse after this.
Yeah,
'Cause
I'm kind of scared to watch it because it
spoiler
looks
alert, my
terrifying, but yeah.
It's like, okay, it's not too different from other there's a lot of people just talking to each other, so
Isn't that what every
it's like
movie
his
is?
other movies. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, these
But
people be talking to each other a lot. That's
no,
crazy.
That all is lost.
but
when it's
like
just Robert
they sit
Redford
down
alone on
and
a
they
boat.
hang out. They hang out and they talk about shit, like they talk about pop culture. That's like a Tarantino movie. So, but I guess. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, Steven, do you have anything else you want? Yeah.
Or I'll go last. I'll go last. I want to go last for
Okay.
this one.
Okay. I got Mary Elizabeth Winstead baited. She was
True.
only in it for like what, 7-8 minutes of screen time. She didn't do
Yeah.
shit.
That's what happened.
SMH.
I forgot she was in it.
Black Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. And it's Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Okay, I'm not a huge, like, I don't hate her. I don't love her like a lot of people do. So
Anyway, yeah,
she's
Kurt
not one of
Russell.
my favorites or anything.
Kurt Russell just isn't here for most of the movie, and when he is there, he kind of feels wasted because he sticks a fucking foot in his mouth, and that's like the most memorable scene that he has in the movie. Yeah, first third half of the movie just felt completely
Half.
unnecessary.
Half.
Yeah. I'd say
It's a
if
half,
the second,
I'd say.
either way, it feels completely unnecessary because it just doesn't have any consequences in the second half. I would say that if the second half was like on its own, a short movie, like a short film in a double feature with, I haven't seen Planet Terror, so I can't say anything about that either. I would give it a lot higher of a rating than it currently has. But yeah, it's not good. Everything that Aiden said, I also agree with. So it was short though, even though it didn't feel like it.
It do be
It
short.
was short though.
All right.
Yeah, I'd put it below Jackie Brown in the ratings right now. So
That's, I like
I
this
thought
movie.
Jackie Brown was
but-
your least favorite. So
I don't love it.
I've thought about it more. I'll probably change the list.
okay.
I think the heist scene from Jackie Brown saves it in comparison to
There
Death
we
Proof.
go. There we
Yeah.
go.
I
Jackie
don't
Brown love.
remember Jackie Brown.
One singular Jackie Brown love.
Also, I'll just say Jackie Brown. Like, I mean, it made me think. Like, I love how her character is like neither like good or bad, but she's still very much the protagonist. I had to mention that because you said the name and made me think of that.
Jackie Brown
Just-
has
just
a better
so-
cast. Like they just work better, I guess.
Compared to Death Proof, you're saying?
Yeah,
Yeah.
as like a ensemble, you know.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay, here I'm gonna say my Death Proof thoughts. So I love this movie. One of my least favorite Tarantino's, I guess, but like I'm also definitely the biggest Tarantino fan here. So me
I'll give you
saying
that.
doesn't mean that I dislike it. In fact, I love this film quite a bit. I love Kurt Russell. He's one of my probably my favorite A-list or leading man actor ever. Maybe. I'm sure there's a few others. I'm sure I could also have there, but he's definitely the best or one of the best. I haven't seen nearly enough movies, I guess, to even say this, but whatever. But Death Proof, really fun. Even though, I can understand why people don't like it. Admittedly, that midpoint it can definitely be unsatisfying. It works for me because everything before that, like, you can look at it more as two separate movies and you get two different alternate endings, I guess. And Tarantino likes satisfying, so you get the more satisfying ending in the second film. And especially, I mean, it does suck to see my boy Kurt Russell, go out like that. I shouldn't spoil, I guess, because Matt hasn't seen it. And but who gives a fuck? Because spoilers in Tarantino movies don't even matter. You'll still enjoy them anyway. And I think that's a testament to Kurt Russell as an actor, because I don't think a guy like Leonardo DiCaprio or name any A-list actor, he could not do that, because it would just look, one, they have too much of an image, and two, they just couldn't pull it off. But I think Kurt Russell is the perfect casting choice here. And so, I love that about it. I love all the girls too. It's pretty hilarious to see people accuse Tarantino of being like anti-female, and like he has fucking Kill Bill and Death Proof. But I've digressed. I mean, sure, whatever. You can make your argument. I don't care. Fuck you. Death Proof is great. Really fun. Yeah, that's. Oh my gosh. Okay. Whatever. It's definitely the worst on the list so far, though. So yeah, that's all I got.
I'm gonna bring in the list now and
Put it at below Jackie Brown,
not
so 6.
Below 4 rooms. Yeah, I'm okay with everyone's.
Well, yeah,
okay
nothing's
going to
be below 4 rooms at this
I'm always
point.
gonna put it above 4 rooms, and then we can.
Yeah,
That's fine.
I like it exactly where it is.
I like it
Me
where
too.
it is.
It's
Yeah,
just
fine.
that my opinion of it is much higher than it appears to the eye.
Hmm.
All right. Well, I guess we're all happy that's there. Let's go on to
The
Oh,
best
boy.
one.
The best
Yeah.
one. Thank you.
Bastards.
Oh,
Thank
oh,
Christ.
no. This is going to be rough. I love this.
It is
movie.
good. Yeah, it's the best one.
You know what? We're gonna start with Rachel.
Great. Okay. Cool. This was the first Tarantino movie that I watched that was like, hey, this is deserving of 5 stars, actually. So that is great. This is by far, I think, the best ensemble cast of any Tarantino movie, just by sheer
Because
talent.
Christoph Waltz.
Christoph Waltz is amazing. How could you tell? No, everyone is at peak performance in this movie, I think. Like, there's not a single actor that feels out of place, except for maybe BJ Novak, but that he only has like 3 lines, so he'll get a pass. I was talking earlier about House of Blue Leaves restaurant sequence being like my 3rd favorite Tarantino sequence, and it's after the second one being the first 20 minutes of this movie where it's in the single room with Christoph Waltz. Yeah, it's fantastic. It's like a masterclass in building suspense, because it's just 20 minutes of straight dialogue with absolutely no score. And it feels like it goes by in the blink of an eye. Amazing. And then my favorite sequence is very surface level, but it's got to be the entire 5th chapter, Revenge of the Large. Yeah, the one in the theater. The theater ending is fantastic. It gives me goosebumps every time I watch it, and I've seen it 5 times now in like 3 months. I've watched it with like every single friend group that I have, and all of them have loved it. Scott, you liked Inglourious Basterds, right? Thank you, Scott. We have evidence here. Yeah,
Confirmation.
it's great.
ladies and gentlemen.
Confirmation. Just lovely. Yeah, Christoph Waltz's performance as Hans Landa is one of my favorite like movie antagonist performances I think I've ever seen. He just sells it in 4 languages too.
Yeah.
He speaks French, German, Italian, and English, and just absolutely nails it in every single time. Yeah, you can't rate anything that has a line like, if we descend to your Nazi balls any lower than 5 stars. I'm sorry. I don't have much to say about it, because I think it just speaks for itself as being the best Tarantino movie that there is. Ripped to Pulp Fiction but Inglourious Basterds is just built different. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's it. That's all. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Spoiler alert, I guess.
Come on. Like Steven
gives
said,
a
even if
shit?
there is
No,
spoilers.
spoiler alert for my ranking. This is one of the ones in the three that I was talking about, where it's like on any day, like I feel like any like three of them could be my favorite Tarantino because I just like love them all equally. It's hard to like decide.
Mhm.
So that's what I was spoiling. Not the movie. Who cares?
Who cares?
No, it's so good, and I'm glad I it's like fresh in my memory for watching it today because like it would have been much harder to talk about it.
You're welcome. I'm so glad I hauled my PS4 over to your apartment so we could watch it. That was fun.
Yeah, no, that was a fun time. I
You could have watched it on YouTube.
You could have, but I got that special edition Blu-ray, so might as well watch it on that.
Watch it on the
Better
Blu-ray
quality.
instead.
Absolutely.
For the love of God, watch it on the Blu-ray instead.
Yeah,
I've killed myself having to watch movies that I own on Blu-ray, having to watch them not on Blu-ray because I didn't bring the Blu-ray to college.
Yeah, and like shit
Twice
quality.
now has absolutely destroyed me. Well, not shit quality, but
Near
I
shit
didn't
quality.
plan to watch HBO Max. I wouldn't say their HD is shit quality.
Okay, excuse me. If you rewind 30 seconds, then it becomes shit quality on HBO Max.
If the response is, if the controls are responsive at all, that is.
True.
Their app is so
problem
bad.
with it.
Oh, God.
The movie didn't feel like 2 hours and 30 whatever.
Oh no, it goes by so quick.
So quickly. Yeah, Brad Pitt is great too. Obviously,
Aldo Rain.
yeah.
Yeah, every performance is
Buongiorno.
fantastic.
Buongiorno.
Yeah.
The
Oh.
tavern
Yeah,
tavern
I
scene.
really like the 5-act structure as well. I think it works really well for this movie specifically.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, the tavern scene is also just another great one where like and then like the moment he puts up his three fingers, you're just like, oh shit. I guess on rewatch, like that's what you would notice. But like if you're watching it for the first time, then you like wouldn't notice it, but still,
I remember watching it here, and someone had to go to the restroom right after like the gun scene happened, before anyone revealed why he was caught, and all of them were going back and forth guessing why he gave himself away. It's like, did he say something in a weird accent? It's like, I did.
Yeah.
It's fun. They're all wrong, but it was fun.
Yeah, I can definitely go on if I wanted to, since it's fresh. But I'll go. Yeah, let's go to Steven.
Okay. I really love this movie too. However, I don't share some people's opinion that this is like far and away Tarantino's best, because I still think the ending is lackluster a bit. Like, it's still a 10 out of 10. Okay, chill out. It's not a bad movie. But the ending is like, I'm not a fan of Christoph Waltz, the turn his character takes. It's like, I get you're like, oh, he's so bad he did that. But like, it's kind of just like a lame out. And it's weird how everyone is like doing the same idea. I know, fairy tale fantasy. But like the ending, it's so like you feel like everything was almost like inconsequential. I know, as the guy who loves Death Proof, I like this more than Death Proof.
Killed Hitler.
But
they killed Hitler.
No,
They ended World War II.
No. I mean, it's inconsequential from like everyone had that plan, and regardless, it would have happened. Like it would have happened, like in a lot of different ways. So it doesn't feel like as satisfying, I guess, but that ending does get your stomach churning. I mean, I didn't get goosebumps. I get like my stomach literally felt like heat inside of it. Like I was like angry that this didn't happen almost. I guess it's weird, but it is quite the image to see that ending. But it's like yeah, that ending, um, it does, you know, it feels weirdly like just it almost, I don't know. I love it. I don't care. Whatever. I mean, it's not as good as the rest of his movies. Some of them, just because I need to defend Pulp Fiction still, which is just absurd that I have to.
You're in like the vocal majority here. It's literally just us.
Yeah, but that's the issue. Is that the only people that matter right now
Mhm.
are you guys? So it's
Yeah.
an issue.
We are
But
the
yeah,
oppressed
no,
minority
Inglorious
of Pulp
Bastards.
Fiction
Yeah,
mediocres.
You are.
Inglorious Bastards, though, very, very fun. Um, it zips by very quickly for
Mhm.
as long as it is.
Yeah.
And it is very enjoyable. The first time I watched it, I didn't love it, and I think that's because I expected more action. I expected more like Kill Bill because it's Inglorious Bastards. The cover is like all these guys like we're about to kick some Nazi butt. Like look at us, and then you're like, oh, it's like his other movies, and it's like weirdly, it's underwhelming with that expectation. But I rewatched it for this specifically because I knew it was better than I thought it was when I was
Mhm.
in high school, and I'm glad I rewatched it because it's definitely better than I thought the first time.
All right.
I'm gonna be a professional podcaster again.
I don't know if it was just since high school, because I know in the last like year or so you've told me you didn't like that movie that much. So I think it's been a little more recent
It's
than high
just
school.
because that was the last time I watched it. Like even like yeah, I wouldn't say that I. It was just because that's the last time I watched it. This was only the second time I've watched it, and the last time I watched it was in high school. So that's what I mean.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Go pee.
Okay.
yeah, I
Pete.
know. Let me mute.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything Rachel said. It kind of speaks for itself. Everything just like works. There's so many memorable moments in it. The tension, it's like the lack of score in some instances. It just everything works. The cast is great. Easy number one for me.
Oh yeah.
Even when there is score, it's great. Like
Yeah.
The soundtrack choice of David Bowie over Shoshana getting ready for the theater
yeah.
movie premiere is great. I love that whole soundtrack choice. Wonderful. Wunderbar.
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 Let's hear your thoughts.
Yep, I think it's his best movie. I honestly, on a rewatch, I was going back and forth between this one and Django. And I think Django might be my personal favorite, but I think this is his best, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like this is one of the only movies where it's dialogue almost the entire time and it's completely riveting.
Yeah.
Like it's like the middle section of like Michael Fassbender in the bar. It's like 40 minutes long and it feels like it's 5. It's astonishing just how good the dialogue and performances are in this movie. I think this is just absolutely peak tier or top tier peak Tarantino writing. And like just everyone who's cast in it is so good. I think the biggest complaint that I have with this movie is that there's so many characters that a lot of them don't feel like they have enough to do. Especially like the bastards. I really wanted to see Brad Pitt in more of the movie, and he's only in what, like 10 minutes, 15 minutes out of like the whole thing. It's called Inglourious Bastards, but the bastards aren't even really the main focus for a lot of it. That's not saying it's bad, and that's not saying any of them do a poor job. I think every character in there is executed to perfection. I just wish that it was even longer, so that all the various characters could have a little bit more room to breathe.
Thank you, Andrew.
Yeah, I think like the opening scene with the Hans Landa talking in the shack is so good, and the bar scene, it's so good. But I do kind of agree with Steven a little bit about the ending. For some reason, the ending is my least favorite part, and I can't really point to why. I do find it a little upsetting, I guess, that Lambda gets away with everything. He's just like, all right, ship sinking. I'm going to defect to the United States. I mean, I know they like give him the brand at the end.
Yeah.
But considering just how evil he was throughout the whole thing and just how good of a villain he was, it felt a little, I guess, underwhelming. Just be like, all right, you're free, but you're going to have a little swastika. Instead of like actually having him suffer for what he did. I mean, who knows how many thousands of Jews he tortured or killed. So that part was a little for me, but like the rest of the movie is really, really well done, and I definitely think it deserves to be his top movie. Yeah, I know. It's a movie, and I watch it, so I don't have to think.
You made me remember some things though, about my thoughts. Yeah, you mentioned the Bastards. That's one of the main reasons why I didn't like it the first time, because the Bastards were barely on screen and I was annoyed. But a few things. So it was weird watching the movie again. Did not notice and pick up on it, but that opening music where it's like for release music is actually it's actually from. I actually have seen the obscure Western that Tarantino is ripping the music from called The Big Gun Down with Lee Von Cleef. I watched it over the summer. Great film. And that movie has that. It's unsurprisingly Ennio Morricone music. Wow. Surprising. It's almost like Tarantino uses his music in like all of his movies. But yeah, that opening scene. And actually, there are two performances. You mentioned PJ Novak. Also, Eli Roth. I just don't like Eli Roth. So he kind of annoys me when he's on screen. He's kind of annoying. His performance isn't awful, but he's just a bit compared to everyone else. But it's like not a huge deal. There was one other thing, but I forgot again, because it's hard to remember things when you're actually talking. But yeah. That's okay.
It's interesting you bring up For Elise, because I don't know that we've really talked about this much yet, but Tarantino has a history of stealing music from other things.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
I think a lot of times it's not properly mentioned in the credits. Like Kill Bill Volume 1, when Elle's walking through the hallway, that tune she's whistling, it's actually a horror movie theme.
Yeah.
From a film in the 70s or something like that. But like a lot of people just think it's like, oh, it's Kill Bill. It's like, no. He ripped that from something else.
Song. There's a rap song called Chill Bill that uses like the beat of Kill Bill. And they're like, oh, it's a reference to Kill Bill. It's not a reference to Kill Bill. It's a reference to that horror movie.
And like Django, he rips the theme song for Django straight from the original Django, which I'll talk about later.
Ennio Morricone.
Yeah, Django's an interesting, has an interesting history in cinema. Yeah.
We can get to that later, but you guys were talking about the ending, and I feel like I definitely forgot about the ending of the movie. Like I remember the theater burning, and then I forgot about like what happened afterwards. So I can see that though.
I forgot he was a turncoat, so that surprised me.
Also, shout out to the strudel sequence.
Strudel sequence is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, Andrew. No, it's okay. I'm just saying, like, as an example.
I'm surprised you didn't mention that Kurt Russell's scream from Death Proof was clipped and used in Glorious Bastards.
Yeah, I
thought that would be like a piece of trivia.
You know what bothered me?
I didn't know that.
They had a character named Wilhelm, and he didn't do the Wilhelm scream.
Wow.
There was
Yeah,
someone
this-
else in the movie
Yeah.
who did the Wilhelm scream in the Nation's Pride movie. But
Yeah, both
It
of the
wasn't
Wilhelm screams were
Wilhelm.
inside the Nation's Pride movie.
yeah.
The Nation's Pride movie is like shockingly well shot.
It's directed by Eli Roth.
Oh,
What?
It
That's
is.
funny.
wow.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen a good Eli Roth movie though. So, like Eli Roth
seen-
directed movie. Eli Roth directed.
I don't think I've seen anything that he's directed other than the
Yeah,
Nation's Pride short.
I have not seen anything he's directed either. Although the Nation's Pride, I could tell was like it felt repetitive just because it's like within the context of the movie, but it still
Yeah.
was like, oh, these shots are cool.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I love the one part where it's peeking through the door in the cinema, and Frederick Zoller just carves a swastika into the floorboards, and the entire theater just cheers.
Yeah, that's
So fucking stupid.
it's... Oh no, I remember my point now.
Mhm.
I also another thing. The first time I watched it, didn't realize how like Brad Pitt is literally like comedy. Like his role is entirely a
Mhm.
cartoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that. Like the Bastards are a cartoon in essence, and so it's honestly as much a satire of Nazis as it is a satire of America. So I think that's also a cool angle the film's got for it.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I think there's not a single line that Brad Pitt says in the movie that isn't just absolutely hilarious. Buongiorno. Grazie. I'm trying to think of anything else I was going to say. I've forgotten all about it now. Yeah, strudel scene is great. I don't know anything
Strudel and
about.
cream.
Yeah, I don't know anything about like what foods are kosher and what foods aren't, but I've heard from like a friend of a friend or like something that I think parts of the strudel weren't completely kosher, so it was
That would make
layered
sense.
for him to make her eat the strudel. I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting.
You know,
That's kind of
they
interesting.
did. He did have the
Have
close
layer.
up on the food. There was like
Yeah.
the close up on the food. And I'm like, okay, so the food carries more significance than
Yeah.
just like they're eating it.
He also ordered a glass of milk for her during that scene, kind of
Yeah.
hinting that he knew she was from the dairy,
Mhm.
which is interesting.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
so good. Yeah, the
Great
whole scene,
movie.
you're like, does he know? Does he not know? Does he remember?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. I think Melanie Laurent is also just really great. I think I should.
Oh, she's fantastic.
Mhm.
I love her.
Like, there's
So
a lot of
she-
nuances to her performance, and like like playing off like the Jew. And,
This is the face of Jewish vengeance.
I love the shot where the smoke and it's
Yeah.
still pouring. That is
One,
Yeah.
lovely. I'm
great,
glad we
great.
can all agree on this.
Yep. Inglorious Bastards #1.
Number one.
Number one.
Fuck no.
Hey, 3-1. Come on, Matthew.
All the way down below Jackie Brown.
it is
No.
worse than Four Rooms actually.
No.
Oh,
Hey,
that sucks. That really sucks.
suck it, bitch. Inglorious Bastards #1. Even
well.
if you
I have
Okay.
I have the rest of the world on my side. It's fine.
Okay, I also had Trev and Andrew tell me specifically to push for Inglorious Bastards at #1, so that's what 6-1.
Yeah. I could have talked about Pulp Fiction for the entirety of this podcast length.
We
still,
can loop back, but like,
but I'm not gonna worry about it.
but Steven, it drags though.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it
I
does.
disagree. There's not one moment where I say this is boring. So
There's
I can say that about
There's like
Inglourious
17 I can
Bastards.
think of.
And I
I
can
think-
definitely
what
say
part is
about-
boring in Inglorious Bastards?
that would be the part.
Oh yeah, I love that
Where-
scene.
No. I would say no. It doesn't drag. I'll give you that.
Thank
But
you.
I think
Wonderful.
I'm trying to think. Oh, touchdown Cowboys. Damn it! I have the Bucks as my fantasy defense in one of my leagues. Anyway, yeah, I'm trying to think of a scene where it drags. I guess the ending. Oh no, I got it. The scene where it's Brad Pitt, BJ Novak, and Christoph Waltz. Kind of lame. That scene is kind of lame. I really don't like that. That's like the one
scene.
No, the
no,
one where he goes, "Oh,
He
it's
talks
a
on the phone.
bingo." That one.
Oh,
No,
that
I
one.
don't like that.
Where he's
That's
negotiating
the one
terms.
scene.
Gotcha.
That and the way it's edited is like it's not bad. It's just weak for a Tarantino movie.
I disagree. I think every
But
scene of that is
You know what
entertaining.
movie drags? Segue into Django.
Are you kidding me?
Are you
This
serious?
movie really drags.
That's like
Are you
Yeah,
fucking
that's my
kidding me right now?
personal favorite.
Anyway.
I would like to note that I made a personal challenge to myself that I would defend Inglourious Bastards without mentioning Daniel Bruhl once, and I did do that. It's still top. So hey,
Rachel,
Suck
it was
it.
gonna be number one. It was gonna be number one regardless of what you said, though.
true. It is a personal challenge.
I respect that.
Thank you.
No, I got some points for fantasy because the Prescott. I don't know who that is, but we want to move on to the next movie.
Yeah.
I already did. Move
Yeah.
on to
You had a great segue. It was a good segue. Even though you're wrong,
But
it's a great
Matthew.
segue.
Matthew is the host,
Yeah,
so that's
yeah,
why
but,
I had to
Rachel
let him
went to
do it.
Django. So we went back, and then now we're going to Django again.
Yep.
Who do we go? Who hasn't gone first yet?
I think everyone is.
No, I mean like.
I don't think Aiden has. I don't think you
gone
have
first,
either.
Aiden? I went first.
I
for,
went first
Pulp
for
Fiction.
Kill Bill Volume 1, and that's it.
Did I go first for Pulp Fiction? I think I did.
I think you did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go. Yeah, Django, I love it. Inglourious Bastards is my number one, but Django is like really close to it. I might be in the same boat as Aiden, where it might be my personal favorite. I'm not sure. It's kind of stuck in between those two, to be honest. But yeah, Christoph Waltz in that is probably one of my King Schultz is one of my favorite characters. I think in a lot of movies. I don't know why, but I love the opening scene. Jamie Foxx is great. Trying to think. I don't remember a lot of it because it's been a little bit since I've seen it, but yeah, I disagree that I don't think it drags at all. I think it's pretty well paced, and then it really just takes off at the end, and I think it's really enjoyable to watch. So yeah, it's definitely, I would say, either, I don't know, it would be between 1 and 3 in terms of my ranking overall. It just kind of depends on what I'm feeling that day.
I think Django's really good. You also didn't mention DiCaprio, who is also really
Yeah.
and he actually stabbed him or
Calvin
whatever.
Candy.
He actually hurt himself, right? With his hand.
Yeah.
I think I remember hearing about that.
With the glass, right? Yeah.
That's
Actually
what-
slammed his hand down on the champagne glass.
And just kept fucking acting.
Yeah.
Good for him.
It's been a while. I probably should have rewatched all of Tarantino, but I really like Django too. I think the pacing is really well done too. And then one of those scenes that stands out is the KKK scene where they're complaining about the masks.
So good.
And just Jonah Hill is there for no real reason.
Well, it's funny. So we have
It is funny.
because he's a Canadian.
Yeah.
I had to pause and rewind because why is he there?
Why not?
Oh, best Tarantino cameo also.
Yes.
Wait, what is that? Oh, Jonah Hill.
No, actually Tarantino.
Actually, Tarantino.
Oh,
As the Australian
I
Silver.
would say Franco Nero. Franco Nero.
No, we're saying Tarantino
No,
as
I
a
know.
cameo in his films. Yeah.
I know. I'm
Gotcha.
just saying Franco Nero is also here. That's cool.
He's the original Django, right?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to Aiden.
Yeah. So, like I said earlier, this is my personal favorite, even though I think Inglourious is technically his best. This is kind of a strange one in that this is one of the like very highly rated classic films that I watched pretty early on in film, like when I was getting into film, and didn't like it. Like for a long time, I had this at a 6 out of 10. And it wasn't until I rewatched it a couple days ago that I was like, wow, this is a really good movie. So now it's a 9 out of 10 where it properly belongs.
Nice.
Yeah, I think the humors. We lost
Uh-oh.
Matthew.
Oh no. Who's the host now?
He'll survive. I don't know.
Well, let's fight for it. Put him up.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, I think the humor is really good in here. Like Matthew mentioned, the KKK mask scene. I was dying. It was it was so funny. I think all the people, terrific actors again. I mean, that's kind of a given for most Tarantino films. It's just like the acting is great and the casting is great. Really, really good needle drops as well. I think it had some of the best licensed music usage in his movies. Yeah, I don't think it dragged at all. I think it flew by for me, even though I think it's one of his longest, right? It's
Oh yeah.
I don't remember if it's his first or second longest. I think Hateful Eight's probably his longest.
Yeah, by far.
Okay, if you watch
if you watch the extended cut, it's longer.
The shortest version of Hateful Eight is only 3 minutes longer. It's 2:48. But like, there's also Letterboxd lists it as 188, but that's
that's the extended cut.
The extended. And then
like
there's another
388.
extended one that's like 4 hours or something. So
Yeah.
That sounds like hell.
it's the Netflix
Like actual
one.
hell.
It might be 3.5, but something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I didn't feel a minute of that runtime. It flew by. And it's compelling. It's interesting. All the characters are just so good. I mean, Leo gets a special shout out here because he's just so good as Calvin Candy. Christoph Waltz as King Schultz, of course. Yeah, I mentioned this earlier, so now I have to talk about this. The weird history of Django in Hollywood. So there's originally a spaghetti western just called Django. Then there was a sequel to it. And then those were popular. So a lot of places started ripping off the name of Django and like having different people play him. And so there's all kinds of different Django movies that aren't affiliated with each other in any way. But there's like, I guess they just didn't have copyright stuff in Italy at the time when they were making those. But so there's like a good 10 to 12 Django movies, I think, if I remember correctly. And almost none of them relate to each other at all. So Quentin Tarantino kind of followed the time-honored tradition of stealing the character's name and changing everything about it. But at least he kept the theme song from the original Django film and put it in the original because it's a really good song. Yeah, I just thought that was interesting to read about afterward. But yeah, I think it's really good. There's one scene that I hate every single time, and I know you're probably supposed to hate the scene, but it's the dog scene. I have a very hard time watching the dog scene. I think I understand that slavery is a really horrible thing, and I understand the scene's kind of meant to help portray that. I just think it focuses on it too much, and it's very hard to get through in an otherwise really enjoyable movie. But that's really my only complaint. I think the rest of the movie is just really good. I don't know how much more I have to say about it.
All right, let's go to Rachel then.
Yeah, I also really like Django. I think it's my third favorite after Inglourious Basterds, obviously, and then Kill Bill Volume 1, which is a hot take in this podcast. But hey. Yeah, the entire bit in that takes place in Candyland, just with Leonardo DiCaprio, is amazing. I also have to live up to my name here. Christoph Waltz does a fantastic performance, but he does a fantastic performance in almost everything he's in, so that's not anything new. I will
Alita
say
is pretty whatever.
Okay, I haven't seen
really
Alita, and I don't have any motivation to. So
he's the best part of Alita.
Just letting you know that he's there and he doesn't really do much, so you can't say that.
Yeah, I will say that I do think there is a little bit of a pacing issue in the middle, in that I think there's like 2 or 3 montages that are like back to back, but the montages are fucking cool, so I'll give it a pass. I like those montages. They're super fun. That's it. I like this and Inglourious Basterds. I just like when Tarantino's fucking around with like a time period. I think it's fun. The fuck is ringing your doorbell? Anyway, yeah, it's great. I would put it like at 2 right now, but I will acquiesce if we have it at 3 under Pulp Fiction. Even though personally it'd be 2.
It's 2 for me as well.
Great, thank God.
2 for me too.
Thank God.
God damn it.
Get dunked on. Yeah, that's all I have to say about it. It's good, great.
Yeah.
Great movie.
Steven, you want to say?
Yeah. So, no. Okay, guys. Preface this. I still like this movie. It's still very fun. Okay?
I love this is how you
still
preference
this.
all of them so far.
Well, yeah.
Except for Pulp
Because
Fiction.
whenever because I have to remind you, I still really, like Tarantino is one of my favorite of all time. I'd probably go Mann, Carpenter, Kubrick, then Tarantino. So, fuck you. I'm a film bro. I'm a normie. I don't give a fuck. He's that
Glad
good.
you've come to accept that. It's nice.
Well, and here's the thing. The other film bro directors, I'm not like huge on. Like David Fincher and Christopher Nolan, I like them a lot in high school. Now I'm just like, they're just good directors, but I wouldn't put them anywhere near the top. And also Denis Villeneuve, same boat. Like, I like him. Again, nowhere near the top. So I think he's the only one of the film bro directors I really like. But it's beyond you know what? If you like those directors, that's okay. They're good directors. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, Django. I like this movie. I think Jamie Foxx is awesome. Christoph Waltz is awesome. They have a really good pair. It's pretty bittersweet to see Christoph Waltz, have to do that, but it's okay. And I really find the horse dance at the end very cute. Like, it's just so damn cute. It's so cute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then his wife she's just like, yay! It's cute. I don't know. It's really cute. And then, but it does feel a bit more epilogue-y than it should. It's kind of like an epilogue where it's kind of tacked on. And the middle does drag. It's the only Tarantino movie in recent memory where I kept wanting to look things up on IMDb. And usually if it's really good, I'm like, I'll just wait until the end of the movie. But this movie in the middle, I kept looking up stuff and being like, just looking up things on the internet on my phone, which is a bad sign because this movie does drag in the middle and it kind of turns into an Edgar Wright movie. And I'm like, Tarantino integrates music really well generally into his films. Here, though, it's kind of a crutch, and he's just like, oh, I'm going to make this a montage because I need to make this not 3.5 hours. So, but he doesn't even need those. It's not a very complicated story. and I think he spends way too much time on the origin of Django, which is an interesting origin story, and I think it's really good. But if he sacrificed a bit more there, then he wouldn't have to do those montages in the middle, and I think that would have helped quite a bit. Um, but Leonardo DiCaprio, Sam Jackson, both fantastic here, especially Sam Jackson, just completely uh, getting into that role. You don't see Samuel L. Jackson. You see Steven, this complete asshole dick, like this Steven right here. Though, hopefully,
I'm glad you made the joke for me.
Yeah. So it's and then, but I think this is one of DiCaprio's better roles. I would say, he doesn't have much range, but I think that it works. Like Tarantino made the role work for him in particular. His strengths play to that role very well, so I appreciate that. And there's maybe one other thing. The first time, actually, at one point when I first watched this film, I definitely put it top tier Tarantino.
Mhm.
But after last night, I'd say no. Not that I ever would have. Like, this literally was like a top 50 movie for me when I joined the club of all time. So I still like it a lot. Just Tarantino is such a strong filmmaker. It's hard for me to say this, but like, it is my least favorite of his. So sorry about that, but that's just the way it is.
Wow.
That's all.
Wow, that just took a turn.
Yeah. Even if you just compare Django to his other movies, I still don't get how you can see it as his.
Yeah. Oh, well,
worst.
okay. There was one thing I had to say. I forgot, but I remember now. I don't get how the heck he won Best Screenplay for this movie, because it's not. It's probably his worst script. I could see you make an argument for like Death Proof or Kill Bill Volume 1 being worse, but it's nowhere near his best. So I that is another thing. I'm just like, what the heck? But again, Oscars, fuck them.
Yeah. I can agree with you on that at least.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think that's weird. And his directing's pretty strong. And it's also the only. I noticed the soundstage is way more in this movie, the interior lighting, but it is stylized, so I don't mind it too much. But like that night scene in the opening, like you can clearly tell it's not outside, it's inside. They've got this light on top. It's not, none of the night scenes are dark at all. But Robert Richardson knows how to shoot a fucking film, so it's fine. And that's okay. Yeah.
Cool. I think I did want to mention the first time I'd ever heard of this movie was in my 7th grade English class when we were talking about the Civil War. and my teacher was like a substitute teacher. Everybody clowned on her. They ran that poor woman through the ringer. Anyway, she was asking for recommendations of movies that had to deal with that time period. And fucking Cole Hafner's like, yeah, I got a great movie for you. Django Unchained. That's the first time I ever heard of the movie. I thought it was funny. Anyway, number 2 spot.
2.
Yes.
7 so far.
2
Well,
plus
yeah,
2 plus
just
2
a
is 6.
no, wait, 7 or 8. Well, I'll say 8. God damn.
Just to get the average down?
Can we put it below Pulp Fiction?
No.
Come on. Below
2
Pulp Fiction?
2 plus 2 plus 2 plus
8.
I would put it
7?
5. I would put it
I'd
5.
put it, no, 8. Actually, 8. I forgot about.
3. I would put it 4. I would put it 4. Assuming it's not
I'll put it at 8.
If we're doing straight averages, 4 2s plus 1 8 makes it number 3.
But Pulp Fiction, no one wants to put it above Django except for me and maybe Matthew.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know though. Matt and Aiden, how do you feel about Pulp Fiction being above Django?
I think
I'm against
Django's
it.
better.
Yeah.
Me too.
I mean,
I don't
they're
know.
close. My top
It's
three
close,
are
that's the
very firm, and like these are by far and away the best. And that's the order we have right here, actually: Inglourious, Django, Pulp Fiction. I think they're all phenomenal films, and they're all very close to each other. But I think on a rewatch, I did enjoy Django more.
Yeah. I think I could watch Django again and like it more though, because it was a last second watch at like midnight last night where I was like, you know what, it has been a long time since I've seen this movie. I should probably watch it again.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a little drunk during it, which should have enhanced it, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's okay though. I still like it, so whatever.
All right, well, let's just keep it there, and then we can move on to the Hateful Eight. Start with Rachel.
I don't like it. It's too long. The dialogue isn't as good as other Tarantino movies. That's it. It's boring. I felt every minute of that runtime. I'm sorry, Aiden. I'm sorry. It was boring. That's it. I don't remember anything about the plot, and I know for a fact that I sat there and watched every single second of it. I even didn't look at my phone, but I don't remember anything from the plot.
You mean you don't remember when Sam Jackson got sucked off? That's very memorable.
I remember one thing. That's Channing Tatum popping out of the floor, and that's it. And then dying immediately afterwards. That's it. I don't have anything to say. Yeah, lower Tarantino for me. I'm sure if I went back and rewatched the shorter cut, it'd be a little bit better, but I have no motivation to go back and do that. So,
did you rewatch it recently?
I watched the extended edition last month, 2 months ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was pretty recent. I watched all Tarantino's movies back to back in like a week and a half.
Okay.
So, all of my ratings of the Tarantino movies in comparison to each other, I'm pretty firm on, except maybe Death Proof and like Jackie Brown in the lower half.
Mm-hmm.
Four Rooms is definitively at the bottom, though. So
gotcha.
We can all agree on that, at least.
All right.
I'm assuming the game is not going well. Is going well.
Tom Brady fucking sucks. That's all we have to say. We don't like Tom Brady, but he gets talent around him because he was drafted into a really good defense. So everyone thinks the reason why his teams are good is because of him, but it's because he always has a good system. And again, that play showed it. That's all we're saying. Yeah.
All right, Aiden, what are your thoughts on the people?
I have only seen the theatrical cut. I looked it up beforehand to see which people preferred, and it was pretty universally the theatrical cut over the extended. And I read that you should only watch the extended if you're a big fan of the theatrical because it drags a lot more. So I would recommend watching the theatrical, I guess, because I think this movie is fantastic. I think it's really good at building tension throughout the entire film. I think the dialogue's really well done. All the characters are really memorable and enjoyable. I mean, there's a couple scenes here and there that I don't particularly care for, like the Big Black Johnson scene, as Steven mentioned. And I didn't really care for the ending either. I feel like it's just Tarantino being a little too gleefully sadistic. But the rest of the film, I think, is really, really good. I think right from the start, once they arrive at the inn, you know something's wrong. it's just the way it's shot and the dialogue. You can tell something's not right, and it just builds and builds and builds and builds until people start dying, and it's really good. I will say they kind of wasted Channing Tatum. I agree with that. He's in it for like 2 minutes. But like, I can't even fault that scene because it is a good and I think necessary quick step away from the release of tension that just happened in the previous scene, because it built so far and then stuff happens and then you need like a quick second away to try and come back and start building it again. And I think it works really well. And just besides those couple scenes, and just in general, it being Tarantino at his most sadistic, I think the movie as a whole is really well done. I really enjoy it. Honestly, I think it's probably about level with Kill Bill Volume 2 for me, and in my number 4 spot.
I mean, it's about Kill Bill Volume 2 for me as well, but on the bottom.
I don't think it dragged. I didn't feel like it was too long. I think it was very well paced, in my opinion, anyway.
Not that I don't like the movie. Like I already said, like I pretty much enjoy every Tarantino film, for 4 rooms. But
we always have to add that caveat. I like that.
It's not even fully a Tarantino film, though. Like, are we going to talk about?
It is.
Are we going to talk about Sin City?
Sure.
That's
cool.
That's we can talk about it if we want, but we're already going for 2 hours, so.
Yeah, we've got what?
It'll
one
be
more movie after this?
The length of a Tarantino film by the time it's done.
Yo!
Watch this instead of watching a Tarantino film, everyone.
Yay!
Except no one is, but Sam is still watching, I guess.
Hi, Sam. Love you, Sam.
I don't remember a lot from The Hateful Eight. I don't know. I don't think any of the characters were super memorable besides like Walton Goggins, and but I feel like I should just rewatch it. It's on the bottom of, it's like on the lower end of my ranking, but yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say about this movie. It's one of the weaker films from Tarantino. So let's go to Matt, since Steven's muted.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. It's fun for the most part. I think it definitely is too long. I would say it definitely drags, but oddly in a way that's not necessarily boring. I think it's like, even when it's dragging, it's still somewhat entertaining. I think there's just too much going on, and at the same time, not really anything going on until like the end. I do think Jennifer Jason Leigh is underrated. I like her character is one of the more memorable ones that I remember. But yeah, I mean, I think overall it's just too long, but still, an enjoyable film. Definitely in the lower tier though of my ranking.
Okay, let's hear Steven, if you're ready.
Yeah, I like this movie. Definitely lower tier, but I still really enjoy it. It kind of surprised me because I bought the Blu-ray before I actually saw it, but I still really enjoyed it. I actually watched it with both these guys. You guys both like The Hateful Eight, right? It was a good movie.
Which one was it? It was just really long.
Yeah, you liked The Hateful Eight. The one you kept laughing at when we were in the triple still.
Was that the one where they were?
They were in the cabin.
Yeah, I actually did like that one.
Yeah. You were laughing a lot. So
I like that movie.
Both of my roommates at the time really enjoyed it. Well, Drew might not have so much.
It was really long.
It is long, as he said.
He's right on that.
But I like it. Lower tier Tarantino, but it's okay.
Yeah.
It is much more of a play than like basically all of his other movies. So take with that what you will. I think he's trying to adapt it to a play, actually, or something like that. But yeah, fun. Kurt Russell is in it as well, so We gotta love that. Yeah.
Yep.
That's all.
All right. Well, I'm gonna bring the list back up, and I would put it between 7 and 8. So, in the 8th spot.
Oof, that is
Yeah,
way too low.
I'd also put it between 7 and 8.
I'd
Maybe
put it
between 6 and 7.
Between 6
I'd
and
put it-
7, if you gotta put it near the bottom.
I'd put it below
It's better
Death
than
Proof.
Jackie Brown by far.
I'd put it below Death Proof, but I might like it more than Aiden, but I'm putting it below Death Proof. So that's
I'd put it between 6 and 7. I think that's
Yeah.
what I have it in my list as well.
I'm okay with it. being there.
Yeah, that's where I would put it.
Yeah.
And
7. I think 7's a good number.
Okay. So are we putting it above 7 or below 7?
Or 8, below
Above
Jackie
7.
Brown.
It
Below.
becomes the new 7.
Okay,
It
gotcha.
becomes the new 7.
Fine.
Uh,
That's fine.
and there we go. And like every Real Ranked episode so far, we have a counter of 1 orange cat. So
And what?
in the Hateful Eight,
The Hateful Eight.
Where?
it is Minnie's cat, right? I don't
I'm
remember.
pretty sure.
But I think it's Minnie's cat.
Is it orange? I don't remember.
And we have the orange cat expert in the chat as well.
We do have the Orange Cat expert in
Okay.
chat.
All right. I trust Sam's
Yes, I trusted. Yeah.
evaluation of that.
I do like the anecdote about Kurt Russell just absolutely smashing that antique guitar to bits while on the set. I think that's hilarious.
All right. Well, now that we have it ranked, are you guys ready to move on to the final?
Yes.
Yep.
I don't think Steven is.
That's what, third piss break?
Yeah.
You have to have a counter.
I thought he was just passed out, to be honest.
Steven, after counter. I don't know how.
Once upon a time in Hollywood.
Wonderful.
Wunderbar.
Wunderbar.
All right. Just to fill the dead air. I don't have anything.
Let's
to
talk
say.
about Sin City really fast.
Yeah, Sin City.
I don't know how many other people have seen it.
I actually haven't. I need to watch it though.
I haven't.
It looks interesting.
It's good. It's adaptation of a Frank Miller comic series. Robert
I knew
Rodriguez
that. Yeah.
directs most of it along with Frank Miller, and then Quentin Tarantino directs a scene of it. It's really good. It's really interesting. There's a lot of like unexpected people in it, like Elijah Wood.
That's true.
He has an absolute terrifying role in that. Jessica Alba's in it. Bruce Willis is in it. Clive Owen's in it. Yeah, there's a lot of like
Mickey Rourke.
Mickey Rourke's in it. What's her name? Rosario Dawson.
Oh shit! Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in that movie and I think it's really good. I think everyone should check it out. It's a very unique art style as well.
For sure. I personally don't like it, but
I agree.
I still think I would
I like it
recommend
a
it.
lot.
Like, I personally didn't connect with it, but I would give it a recommendation. Yeah, like I think it's worth watching.
Well, and I'll say this: the CG like almost works for this movie because it feels more like a comic book, like the movements and stuff. Like it's early, like green screen or whatever. I don't know,
Mhm.
but it doesn't bother me because it's clearly comic book style. So
It's good. Recommend it.
Yes, Sam said that it was in Minnie's haberdashery.
It wasn't Minnie's
Yeah.
haberdashery.
I know it's like the flashback scene. I just didn't remember that if it was orange or brown. But yeah, it makes sense.
who's bullying?
I don't know.
We do have a piss break counter for you now, Steven. Up to
Yeah,
3.
I think that'll be the last one.
I can.
We only have one more movie to go through, so I'd hope it would be. I don't think I don't think the take I have for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is that hot of a take. But hey.
I really like this one.
Oh, shit.
It's hot to
I
me.
get that like people don't like
It's
it.
hot.
I
It's
love
hot.
it.
Well, yeah, putting any Tarantino movie below like 5 stars is a hot take for you, though. So, hey.
Yeah, but this but this is one of my favorites. So.
I like the vibe.
Really?
I know a lot of people really
Why?
like it, but I'm with Rachel. I think it's
Thank
bottom
you.
tier.
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't know who wants to
I
start.
guess I'll start because I guess I'm in the.
Sure.
Sure,
I
go
don't-
for it.
No, I really like this one. I've only seen it once. I still remember a lot that happens from the movie. So I think that's a good sign compared to like the other ones when I could barely talk about them. I really enjoyed just like how more relaxed it was compared to like other Tarantino movies. Like I just liked like Brad Pitt driving through LA, and like I thought that was really chill. And I didn't know anything about the Manson murders, so I was definitely not expecting like anything to happen from that era. Like I had no idea what was happening. So I really enjoyed the ending as well. Like I thought I was laughing so hard when the ending happened, and like Leonardo DiCaprio brings out the flamethrower and like burns the person at the pool. Like everyone in the theater was just like crazy about that, and I really liked it. I think the screenplay I enjoyed as well. Like I feel like I don't think it's as quotable as other Tarantino films, but maybe it's just this most recent one. Like maybe who knows what's gonna happen in like 10 years. But I think the production design is really great. I thought 1969 LA looks really nice, and then I really like the Spawn Ranch and all that. Like I feel like there's just like some tension there that.
Yeah.
Did we lose him?
Yeah.
Oh, there he is.
What is it?
You cut out for a second.
Yeah, just a sec.
All right. Well, I guess we can go to someone else since I don't have a whole lot more to say, and I want to let you guys say stuff too. So.
Okay.
So-
Well. Sorry? Yeah. Well, unlike you, I did know a lot about the Manson murders going in because I listened to a lot of true crime podcasts, and I was very disappointed at how underdeveloped they were throughout the entire movie because I went in excited for a Tarantino movie that would touch on the Manson cult, and it left me kind of unsatisfied. That word has been used a lot in this podcast, but I think this is the most unsatisfied I've been with a Tarantino movie. Or just disappointed, I guess. I think the dialogue is a lot weaker than the majority of Tarantino's movies, just by virtue of I can't remember a single quote from the entire movie. I don't think I could quote a scene even if I tried. It really underutilizes a lot of the actors that it has. I know that there was a cut scene with Tim Roth in it that I think would have been cool to see, but I have no idea if it was ever released, which would be, I don't know, be neat. I think it has a lot of pacing issues, especially in the middle. I don't have much to say about this because I don't remember most of it. It didn't hold my attention at all. Really, one of the most memorable things I can remember is the scene where they're in the car at the very beginning and they're listening to an audiobook of The Illustrated Man by Ray Bradbury. And I only remember that because like, oh shit, I like The Illustrated Man by Ray Bradbury. That's so cool. And then nothing else. Also, I just don't know that much about like this era of Hollywood. And I think it's riding on a lot of nostalgia that I just don't have for this era, which probably doesn't help my enjoyment at all. So like I had
the soundtrack.
I'm sorry?
The soundtrack is great.
Yeah, I suppose so. I didn't take that much notice of the soundtrack when I watched it, but usually the soundtracks are pretty decent, so I'll give you that.
Like Paul Simon, Neil Diamond.
Mhm.
Those are the ones I remember off the top of my head.
Can't go wrong with Neil Diamond songs though. So
Yep.
True.
I can look up the soundtrack now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, it has some pretty great songs. Paul Revere and the Raiders.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Yeah, it's not a bad movie by any means, but it's not. I'd put it firmly like high C, low B tier. It's not the best. That's all. That's it.
Aiden?
Yeah, I actually just rewatched this before this. I feel pretty much the same way about it as I did exiting the theater. It's too long. It's very boring. I think he kind of glorifies a lot of trends in older movies that I'm glad went away, like long shots of people driving in the car with nothing happening. There's a lot of that in this movie because there was a lot of that in like 60s Hollywood movies for some reason. And I'm very glad movie makers stopped doing that because it's boring. I think let me preface this by saying I knew a lot about the Manson murders going into this as well. And given his entirely revisionist history of it, I wish they'd just cut Sharon Tate from the entire movie.
Yeah.
I don't think Margot Robbie adds anything to the movie at all. Like I'm a fan of Margot Robbie, but there's nothing in here that she does that has any impact on the story whatsoever. I think it would have been a lot cooler if, like, at the beginning, they're just like, hey, we live next to Sharon Tate. That's weird that we've never seen them. And then they, like, foil the thing at the end, and then you hear over the intercom being like, hey, you want to come up for a drink? That would be cool. It'd be like, hey, he saved Sharon Tate. It's kind of a little nod to the Manson murders. It could have spent more time fleshing out the Mansons themselves because, like Rachel said, completely underdeveloped.
Yeah.
I think every scene of her shopping and her going to the theater and her walking around and her chilling at a party, it was just boring. And it didn't add anything to the film at all because she's an inconsequential character in the movie about her case, which is weird. So, like, if you just cut all of her scenes from the film, that would have helped the runtime too, I think. I think it would have been less long and a little more engaging. I really not a fan of his portrayal of Bruce Lee. Like, I like the guy who played Bruce Lee. I don't like how they use Bruce Lee in the film, where it's basically he's just a punching bag to show how tough Cliff is, and I don't think that is accurate or even all that cool of a thing to do. And neither did Bruce's family, for that matter. That's a big controversy after it came out. But yeah, I think there's a lot of misses in here. I think the dialogue's good. I really love every scene that Leo and Brad Pitt are interacting. I think their chemistry is really well done. I really enjoy this role of Brad Pitt. I think he does a great job. Yeah, I mean, everything with, like, him on the set of Bounty Law and just him trying to figure out what his life is going to become, I really liked all that. It's just, I don't think he meshed it well in trying to do a story about Rick Dalton and then also trying to do a story about the Manson murders. And I don't think he gave either the attention they deserved, even though it's already a really long movie. So I feel like it would have been a lot better if he just stuck to one thing or the other and not try to kind of do both haphazardly. Yeah, I think it's an okay movie. I think the ending is what saves it for me and probably most people, if I had to guess. Like, I think if the ending wasn't there and people weren't leaving the theater in a good mood, I don't think a lot of people would like it as much. So I'd give it a solid C. I think it's lower tier. It's okay. I think there's good things to it and a lot of bad things to it. And I think if some things were done a little differently, I would have put it a lot higher. But as is, it's fine.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go to Matt next.
Yeah. So yeah, I love this movie. I think I saw it twice in theaters in the span of like a week when it first came out. Um, I do agree with a lot of the criticism from Rachel Aiden. I mean, I think it is a little bit too long, and everything else you said. I mean, in some instances, I think it's correct. But I just think it's a lot of like it's one of those movies where you just like to watch the actors just kind of do their thing and just kind of even if it's just driving around in LA in a car for like 15 minutes, like it's just fun to watch. I completely disagree about removing Margot Robbie. I think, I mean, I like I was aware of the Tate murders or the history of that, and so it really, I think the ending really worked well. I think if you weren't aware of it, then I think it still would have been like, oh, this is kind of funny. This is like standard Tarantino. But I think the emotional weight really held true by the end if you knew going into the movie. But I think if you had removed Margot Robbie, then it would have removed some like connection for people who didn't know about Sharon Tate. It would have just been like some random person, like they don't really care about it. So I think having Margot Robbie in it really helped connect the people who weren't aware of the person by the end, and then it just added a little bit of extra for the people who did know who she was. So I definitely think she was necessary, even if it did seem a little inconsequential or it added a lot to the runtime throughout the film. But I do think having her in it was essential, even if it was a bit of an issue.
All right. And Steven?
You muted.
I was telling them to be quiet. I don't know. Whatever.
Sorry.
Anyway, so this is another one of Tarantino's warm blanket movies to me, much like Jackie Brown. It's very, and I will say this: it's the first Tarantino movie I saw in theaters. I'm trying to think.
Me too.
I think it's the
Yeah.
best movie I've seen in theaters in its original release. So there is that kind of special. Like, you don't get to see many movies like this in theaters anymore.
How many movies have you seen in theaters?
A lot. It's just most of my favorite films are not films I watched in theaters. Unfortunately.
That's true. Yeah.
So it's like, it's not so much the fact I think it's like the best movie ever made, but so I really enjoy it for that. Like, it was really enjoyable to just go to more an old-fashioned type of movie, get to watch it in a theater, see it new. And I will admit, when I saw it, I wouldn't have put it so high, but I've thought about it more. And I actually do really like the Sharon Tate stuff. That was the one thing that I kind of thought was lesser of the film, but that was when I didn't realize you could have a movie that was like not just be about the plot and whatnot. So I kind of learned to appreciate it. I think the Sharon Tate scenes are important. They give her character humanity. I mean, Matt kind of touched upon it already, but it's just really nice. It's funny too. I mean, we really didn't even talk about Leonardo, like, and I can see the expectations being screwed up because like the marketing seemed to be more focused on the Manson murders. Really, the movie is about Leo's character and Cliff Booth or Rick Dalton and Cliff Booth. It's really their movie, especially Cliff Booth. So I can understand how expectations would ruin it, but I don't think it's hard to market, I guess, if you don't focus on the Manson murders. So, like the Spawn Ranch scene is so tense. It's tense as fuck. And then what's the other? Like when he does his acting for the Western, just spectacular. The
Lancer.
the little girl is so funny as well. Yeah. So stuff like that. It's very much that's the nice aspect, and it's nice to just watch Cliff Booth like on the roof doing his stuff,
Yeah.
mind his own
Fixing
business.
the,
And I can understand why people have an issue with Bruce Lee being like kind of downgraded a bit here, but I've heard Tarantino talk about it, and he's more like he's trying to show Bruce Lee got tricked. Like he said, Bruce Lee should have beaten him, but he tricked him. I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't matter that much. It doesn't really make or break the movie for me.
really
And
small
I think it's mostly back to kind of Tarantino's roots, where it's a revenge film, yes, but it's also kind of thoughtful and sensitive and willing to give more humanity to these characters. And it's Tarantino's love letter to something he loves, and I think that's really sweet. So yeah, definitely one of my upper tier. But I'd have to watch it again to confirm. But that's my mindset right now.
Have you seen it since it came out of theaters, or
No, I
was
have
the last
not.
one? Okay.
I have not. Yeah. And honestly, when I saw it in theaters, I liked it a little bit less. But over time, I've liked it more. So take with that what you will.
I think it's also one of DiCaprio's best performances.
It's
Yeah,
pretty good, yeah.
he's like, that's it, sport. I'm a has been. Like, it's funny.
Also, Brandy is great. I love Brandy.
I love pit bulls.
Yeah.
I think they're good dogs.
All right. Well, I guess no one else has anything to say. We can wrap it up by bringing up the letterbox list.
Alrighty. I'd say above Kill Bill Volume 1 at least.
I would put
I'd
it up
say
to.
I'd put
We
it
could move
above
it up
Hateful
high.
Eight.
Okay, let's put it there for now. I think, well, yeah.
Okay, so we can put it here for now, I guess. Yeah. And then
Alrighty, how does everyone feel about it?
I feel
I would put it
pretty
below,
okay.
I would put it below Hateful Eight, but I know I'm kind of in the minority for enjoying that in this one.
Yeah. We can
So
also
I'm
put
fine
it
with
above,
it right there.
I could put it all the way up above Volume 2.
That's where I would put it.
I would not.
I disagree.
So Matt.
Well, I'm conflicted because I would put it above Pulp Fiction, but not above Kill Bill. I mean, I think.
So where does that average?
I don't think you could get it above Reservoir Dogs with the people here. So
No.
You
Yeah,
could
so I mean,
put
I
it between
think
Kill
based on the
Bill
list,
Volume
I would
1
put
and
it
2.
above Volume 2.
you'd put it above Volume 2?
Yes.
Okay. That's 3 people putting it above Volume 2. And Aiden would definitely agree with it being above Volume 1.
Yeah.
Even though he doesn't.
Yeah.
So I think that's good. I think that's good the way it is then.
I don't like it. I don't agree
Me
with
neither.
it, but I'll accept
Me
it.
neither.
None of
Wait, what if we put
Let's
Volume
do it.
2 above that?
All right, I guess I'll move this to the bottom if you.
No!
Matthew,
No,
you put that at number 1
You
yourself.
put that at number 1. Hey!
Hey,
We can
you guys
put
are mad.
Ingl-
So you
I
guys
don't-
are not good. So I guess I'll just.
I don't even want Inglorious Bastards at the bottom.
You're right, Matthew. Let's destroy the list.
Just
There can be no correct ranking.
This whole podcast is a farce.
Can we do tiers? Everyone just give their tiers at the end.
Sure.
Sure.
Alrighty.
Yeah,
Sure.
so yeah, now that we're at the end, I'm gonna say this list, and then everyone can go through
Alrighty.
their ranking.
I do have my phone on me. Okay. I'll give you my ranking real quick. Okay, here. I'll give it to you. So we got Pulp Fiction number 1. Not even S tier, God tier. One of the greatest ever. Reservoir Dogs, S tier. Jackie Brown number 3, S tier. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, S tier. Volume 2, okay. It could be S tier. We'll put it S tier, sure. Volume 1, A tier. And then 7 Bastards. Ooh. Maybe it is better than Volume 1. I don't know. We'll put it at A tier for now. Death Proof, 8, A or B. It's like A. We'll say A. This is on a Tarantino scale, by the way.
Yeah.
Death Proof is like definitely an A tier movie, maybe an S even. Pulp Fiction to Bastards is S tier movies, no question asked. But Death Proof, maybe S, definitive A. Hateful Eight, A tier movie. A tier Tarantino, number 9. And then Django will be the B. Although Hateful Eight may be B as well. So I don't know. And then I guess since we're going on the Tarantino scale, I'll put Django at C, but that's stupid because it's still rules. So maybe B, but whatever. Yeah, that's it.
You guys get that?
Yeah.
I didn't know we were writing it down anywhere.
Oh, I
Yes.
didn't know we were doing. I thought we were just gonna go through it because it was fun.
Yeah.
I thought like you'd go through it, but like just to recap, visual.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Bring this up for a second.
Yeah, I mean that's my list right there. So you brought it up.
Yeah.
I can do mine. I have mine
Sure.
pulled up right now.
Go for it.
S tier in order is Inglourious Bastards, then Kill Bill Volume 1. A tier, Django, then Reservoir Dogs. B tier, Pulp Fiction, then Volume 2. C tier and D tier, it doesn't really matter on the order in these, but I would put C tier as Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And then Death Proof moves between C and D tier. It doesn't really matter. And then D tier is either Death Proof, I don't know where that would go, Hateful Eight and Jackie Brown, and then F minus tier is Four Rooms, although I don't think we're counting that. The final bottom 3, apart from Four Rooms, I don't think their ranking really matters. It's all like muddled down there. I don't have any hard opinions on the ranking for those 3.
All right. I guess I'll go backwards because I already said the top 3 are interchangeable. But then I'll start with F tier, which is Four Rooms. This is the rest of the movies are within Tarantino because I still I wouldn't normally put in D tier because it's a Tarantino list. D tier, Death Proof, and The Hateful Eight. And then C tier, Kill Bill 2. B tier, Jackie Brown and Django. A tier is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Kill Bill Volume 1, and then S tier are Reservoir Dogs and Inglourious Bastards and Pulp Fiction.
Good.
Right.
I can do mine next, I guess. Number 1, Inglourious Bastards, S tier. Django, number 2, S tier. Pulp Fiction, 3, S tier. Kill Bill Volume 2, A. For number 4. Number 5, Hateful Eight, A. 6, Jackie Brown, B. 7, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, C. Reservoir Dogs, 8, C. 9, Kill Bill Volume 1, D+. Death Proof, F.
Expected a D from that one, but an F?
Yeah,
Wow. Okay,
it
that
sucks.
hurts.
For Death Proof, it's F for foot.
I mean, look, whatever.
Do you have that saved from 2.5 hours
I
ago?
can just pull it up. I can put it back on screen. So, are you sure Death Proof isn't an S? Like
I'm
Colin,
sure.
Colin
Online.
hasn't even seen Death Proof,
He's just memeing.
but I appreciate saying that. So. I don't even think
Death
I'd
Proof
put it on
above
this.
Pulp
All right, am I
Fiction?
next?
Yeah,
I never said it was.
Crazy.
Okay. S tier, Inglorious Bastards and Kill Bill Volume 2. A tier, Django, Once Upon a Time, and Kill Bill Volume 1. B tier, Reservoir Dogs and Hateful Eight. And then C tier, Pulp Fiction and Jackie Brown.
Oh my gosh. Wow, I didn't know you hate. Wait, that Pulp Fiction is your second lowest. You haven't seen Death Proof, though, so. Oh. Okay.
That is
Crazy.
Be
correct.
third lowest then.
Yeah, you probably won't like Death Proof as much, being real here, but we'll see.
So, yeah, we have everyone's ratings. I guess that's it. It's indeed been going
Still
on
shorter,
for,
still
long time.
shorter than the Hateful Eight.
Yeah. We've done it, guys.
Goal. We made it before midnight at least. So
Thank God. Got 3
Okay,
minutes to do a
well.
discussion board post.
Oh
all
boy.
right. Well, it was Cage Ranked next week.
Ooh, that'll be fun.
We got Steven back again.
National Treasure better be top for all your guys' lists.
Next week.
I'd accept
No.
National Treasure 2.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to talk about random Cage movies. I don't even know. Are we ranking performance or movie? Or both?
Yes.
Movie, but we'll talk about performances.
Is Willy's Wonderland
'cause-
included?
Just like
Absolutely.
something like
His line delivery in that?
there is a certain Nick Cage movie I'm thinking of where like I really like the performance a lot more than the movie. I mean that's
Mandy?
quite but well, yeah.
But-
Anyway, not Mandy, but
Is it
we'll
Knowing?
find out.
Face Off.
Sam, thank you for watching us. For
Face Off rules.
all
Oh, Sam, thank you.
Love you, Sam. Love you, bestie.
Thanks, Sam.
I bet Sam will love to see my character arc of going from sober to drunk throughout the podcast.
Has Sam seen Inglorious Bastards yet?
Yes.
No, I don't
Yes.
think so.
Great.
Oh, she has.
Yeah, she has.
Okay,
I
nice,
didn't
nice.
see.
You should watch them all.
Yeah, agree.
Don't
Nice.
watch Four Rooms though.
True. That's it. Yeah, if you learn anything today, don't watch forward.
How does it sit that I've technically seen more Tarantino films than you, Steven? How does it sit with you?
I don't
I mean,
care
he's
because
seen
that's not
he's seen
technically.
Sin City, so it's kind of even.
And I've seen
That's
From
even.
Dusk Till Dawn, which was written by him and stars.
That's
in it,
not
so,
directed.
yeah,
But
but I
he's
don't
in
care.
it.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
right.
care. I'm comfortable in my own skin. Four Rooms, he didn't even direct, so he just directed 25%. Well, he did
He's
direct,
credited.
but it's not feature. It's not a feature. So get that discussion board, that discussion post on. Come on.
Yeah, you have 1 minute now.
Yeah.
There's
Well,
a
so
little
he's
bit
having
of delay. It's because of like StreamYard and stuff. So Sam's like just sending these messages.
Guys, we're about to be longer than Hateful Eight. I think we are now.
Oh God. Oh fuck. Oh,
Oh
no.
no, gotta
All
end
right,
We
it
have to
now.
end it now.
Now, I think broadcast